Hey, Stacy, it's Sharon. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You're muted.
How about now?
So let me just apologize right now. I'm getting over COVID, so I'm at home. So I'm on a laptop. So I'm so happy to hear you and see you.
Oh, good. I'm on an iPad, so I'm happy to hear you too. I'm not in front of my desk.
Okay, so good. Well, I hope this is your last time for this, and then we'll see you again for another one. All right, let me see.
For sure. I'm not seeing where I can turn off my. Oh, there it is. I can turn.
I know it's weird. I'm really discombobulated, so I'm really. I just kind of. I don't want to touch too much.
Patient.
Oh, there's David. Hi, David.
Hey, just wanted to just check in, see everything's going okay.
No, I appreciate that.
I'll just be here if you need me for anything.
Yay! Thank you. I think we're good though, but
okay. I'm just gonna sit here and eat
crossed.
my food. That's why I didn't turn my camera on.
Okay. Thank you.
Same. I'm gonna turn off my camera and my speaker.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's a little early. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Stacy.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hi, John.
David, are you taking over for Sharon today, please?
No, I'm here.
Ah. Okay.
Hi, John.
Hi. Hope you're feeling better.
Thank you. I am. I like your background.
Thank you. Just to keep it in perspective.
You're not in Europe anymore.
You know, I wasn't last time either.
I know.
Okay.
I know. You just had a great picture. John, before we get started, did you see that message about item 7?
I did.
You didn't?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
So do you like this image better, or shall I go back to the other, please?
I don't know. That's kind of cool. Kind of looks like you're floating around out there.
Yeah, well, many people have accused me of that.
Well, so if we could just, I'm going to say during the agenda status report, I'll say that it's being continued.
Good, and we'll take a vote.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Claire. Claire, you are on mute. Claire, you are on mute. Claire, you are on mute.
Oh, I am not on mute, John. I just came on and I'm just turning everything on.
Excellent. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
David?
I'm gonna make him co-host.
David, you are on mute if you care.
Thanks, John.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Sharon.
David, thank you for all of your care about looking at the agenda and all of that.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, it is now 12:30 on July 28th, 2022, and I would like to start the Montecito consent agenda. Is everybody ready? Sharon, Claire?
I
Yeah,
am, thank you.
Okay. Item number 1, C1, 475 Santa Rosa Lane. We are on for both preliminary and final. Mark, are you here or somebody else for the project? I saw Willow a second ago. Okay, minutes. Good project, correct FAR worksheet, provide full details. So Mark, are you here or somebody else for 475 Santa Rosa, please? Claire, this is a fairly simple project. I don't think that there's any landscape, but did you have a chance to review these drawings, please?
well, I looked at them, but there is no landscape plan, so I moved on. I mean, I didn't review the whole packet because it was apparent that there was no landscape to be reviewed, so that's what I did.
So you would be good for recommending approval?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a really minor project, and I think the minutes reflect that. So I'm assuming that you reviewed the details per the minutes, and yeah.
Okay, so I did actually have a comment. Willow, I saw you on a second ago. Are you on, please?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so a month or two ago, we had public comment about reflective metal roofing. We have metal roofing here with no specification. I think they said to match this roofing here, which is reflective, obviously, from looking. This is a glass roof, I guess. I would like to make an approval for it based on them demonstrating it has a non-reflective roof. Is that something that you can handle at your level, at your review?
Yeah, I can make sure they specify that on the plans.
Okay. We are on for preliminary approval. County Council permits us to review preliminary plans at the consent calendar if and only if we ask, is there anybody attending this conference that would like to make a comment to this consent calendar review staff on 475 Santa Rosa Lane, please?
John, I don't see anybody with their hands up. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to close public comment. Claire, I'm ready to go for preliminary final on this. Are you ready to go also with that
Yeah.
one comment?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's fine.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Claire. Item number C2, 985 Hot Springs Road. Is there anybody here for this project, please? There were no comments, or it just moved it on here.
It does say applicant to provide construction level details.
Okay, final approval on consent with applicant to provide. Okay, so thank you, David. Do you have the drawings there for that?
Would you like me to go to the details?
Claire, maybe you can just flip through it just as we're talking. Claire, did you have a chance to look at this,
No,
please?
I did not review this one because when I went online to review it, I could never get it to open.
Okay, so David, can you head down and see about, Claire, as I remember, this is an existing house. They're only altering things pretty much within the existing footprint. And any area that's outside the footprint already has concrete patios and things of that nature. I think legitimately there is no landscaping to review.
Okay, yeah, I went on, to review each of these. I never could open that C2. I just couldn't open it.
Okay,
Spinning and spinning and spinning, and I moved on because I got tired of sitting.
okay, I did review it. I thought that the information provided was adequate for the scope of the work. Would you be okay with us going on for final, to recommending final to the full board? Claire?
Yes.
Okay, as would I. So David, thank you. I think we can move on to item C3. 335 Calle something. I don't see the rest of the address on here.
Calle Hermoso.
Hermoso, okay, excellent. Natalie or Tom, are you here or somebody else?
I'm here, Liz.
Liz, okay.
Hi.
A new name on the agenda. Okay, we are on here for final only. The plans were, or the comments were good project. Whoops.
Oh, do you need to see those?
I think since, why not?
Okay.
Good project, provide lighting plan, identify exterior colors. Okay, 84.84 or less.
Okay, so the exterior colors are on page 4, I think, here of the PDF.
Sorry, this is, it's moving a little slow, sorry.
That's fine. We are moving right along. We didn't need the whole time, but sometimes we do, so we should always have that. So thank you, Sharon. Yeah, LRV 77, which is clearly less than 84. So, and Claire, did you have a chance to review these, please?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any further comments.
Did you want to look at the lighting plan, John?
Yeah, let's look at the lighting plan.
That
Thank you
should
very
be,
much.
yeah, I think maybe towards the end of the set there. Keep going. Actually, go down. You know what? Let's see. Try the last page. Okay, that's unfortunate. Go up one. I think one of the pages might have gone. Okay, so there's a lighting plan right there.
Okay,
We
so
have
what they
some-
have here is that there's an LED fixture that they're going to stick up inside, and they showed us the detail of that on some page. Now, what about exterior, what about site lighting?
There isn't an exterior. There isn't-
Sorry, what was the question?
Site lighting, landscape lighting.
Site lighting. There may be some existing there, but we are not adding any landscape lighting. It's fully landscaped with mature trees around. So the area that we're developing this addition is basically just kind of taking up an existing lawn, but it's not affecting any of the existing landscape.
And Claire, did you have any comments or questions about this?
No, well, what they show, this is the only reference in the entire package that I could find as far as landscaping, and it's a conceptual landscape plan. That is all that there, anything to do with landscaping or exterior lighting. This is all we've got.
Yeah, During the first two conceptual reviews, we had some photos of the existing landscaping in the set, but I don't think it's in the photos anymore. I might have removed that sheet, but it was looked at during the first two reviews, the existing landscaping.
So Claire, did you have comments or what, or about
No,
what?
no, I think the project is fine, and this is what I looked at was the photographs, and I went, well, it's fully landscaped, and they're just doing what they're doing as far as the dwelling and putting on this new. It all looks fine to me.
So you would be willing to recommend for final approval with what we have? Claire?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I would too. So Liz, thank you. We will review this at the full board. And you can stay with us, but they have not, to date, they have never gone against our recommendations. We'll see.
Okay.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Okay. C4, Adele and Stacy. I saw Stacy earlier.
Yep, hello.
Howdy. Anybody here? Okay, so is it true that you're on for preliminary? I thought
Is
you
Adele
got
there?
preliminary last time.
I think it's supposed to be final on consent.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes, we had preliminary approval on July 14th, and we had asked the board to look at the documents because we were prepared for a final approval, but it was my understanding we weren't agendized as final. We were only able to secure a preliminary.
Okay, well, I believe you are correct, Adele. And the bad news is that you are also only agendized for preliminary today. So we cannot give you an approval that we do not have a written agenda that we have notified the public about, okay? So that's state law, it has, it's an error. But let's just go through. Claire, did you happen to have a chance to review these drawings, both from Adele and from Stacy, please?
Yes.
And do you have any comments about them?
No, it looks fine, I mean,
Yeah, I thought it looked, I felt that it was, as everybody knows, I was not happy with the lighting, but this approval is, does it conform, complete, the preliminary, which it does. So I would be happy to recommend approval for this. But the bad news is we don't have an agenda that would permit us to do that.
All right, John, there are 3 pages that have, 3 sheets that have changed since the July 14th. Just want to point those out to you. The proposed tree plan, which is sheet L3. So this is in set number 3, page 5. On the proposed tree plan, we added a few more oak trees. Originally, the arborist report recommended a lower mitigation ratio because we were at one time removing a lot of oak trees. We now have reduced that to only removing 3, and we're able to meet the 3-to-1 replacement ratio. So there are a total of 9 mitigation oaks.
6.
And that's 6.
Yes.
Okay. There's so the same added oak trees also occur on the planting plan.
Well, so how many are you taking out?
2.
Thank you. So the 6 makes sense. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So those same oaks show up on the planting plans if you want to go to the planting plan. And that is in set 5, that's page 4.
I'm just going to interrupt here, but shouldn't this be reviewed by the entire board?
Why?
Oh, okay. Well, just because I mean, it just see, because it's on the consent, we're reviewing something that's on the consent calendar. Who does the rest of, I mean, I just don't understand quite why we're going over these when the whole project still needs to be reviewed.
It was my understanding that the board was comfortable with the drawings that we presented 2 weeks ago, and we would be on the consent agenda for final. And
you're not. That's what I'm saying, is you're not on the agenda for final. You're only you're on agendized for preliminary.
Claire, that was a mistake. They should be on for.
But there's all this legal stuff that we end up having to go through, John.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue this to the consent calendar in 2 weeks to get it on final. And the question I ask of you, Claire, is what I'm seeing Adele doing is being extremely squeaky clean, which I appreciate. And I don't see any change from what I saw with the board's behavior last 2 weeks ago. I don't see a problem with this. Do you?
Oh, okay. No, I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with the project at all, but
it was a mistake. So,
yeah.
And John, I'd also like to add that, our team feels it's really important to take heart in the board members' comments. And I know that you were not in support of the project. We won by majority vote, but
for one issue only, which was lighting.
So we reduced the number of lights. The landscape lights have been reduced by 24. And I want you to know, and all the board members to know, it's like, we really do listen to the comments, and we want to do our best to present a project that everybody could be in support of. So the changes that we have for you today are, we have added a few more oak trees, which we feel that would be something that all board members would be in favor of. And we've reduced the number of landscape lights by 24.
Excellent. So do you want to just show us the lighting, please?
Yeah, so that's on set number 5, and that would be page 8. And I'll let Stacy walk you through that. I think she's done a great job in reducing the number without significantly affecting some of the lights that's really needed for path lights and movement around the property.
Stacy?
So you can hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So in corresponding with your request about reducing some lights, we eliminated some of the down lights. We also changed some of the down lights to more of a directional path light along the motor court and driveway to eliminate that. And then there was a few other fixtures that were eliminated as well to bring the overall fixture count down. So I think we did a good job in reducing the lighting as requested.
So is the plan that we're seeing on the screen, is this the new lighting plan?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, Stacy, can you show me on this plan where the proposed downlights are? Down.
If you zoom into the that blue area where there's motor court.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yes. So there's a pathway that goes to the front door. There are some very large oak trees in that area. So we've got path lights along the pathway going to the front door. But there's a few spots where the path lights don't make as much sense as a down light from the oak tree shining down towards the motor court. It's got a little circle with the bullseye and an arrow shining down. I can't point to it, unfortunately.
You used to have two
No matter-
double down lights on the oak trees, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, that was actually, that was my main objection, the number of lights up there in
Right.
these front trees, but
Yeah, and I agree. And then along the driveway, we put directional path lights instead of down.
Now we just have 1, 2, 3, 4 down lights in those trees.
right.
Correct.
Correct.
And I might add that the existing lighting is line voltage, the old, the old John Watson landscape lighting, no relation to you, John. But they're all the line voltage with the very, big, large fixtures. So removing those and adding these, I think, is a vast improvement over what's there.
Well, as it turns out, the John Watson you are referring to is a lighting expert in Texas. And
Right.
I went to school in Texas and was repeatedly asked how my father was.
That's funny.
Whatever. And as it turns out, I was born in Pasadena, which there's one next to Houston. Everybody thought I was born there. I was actually born next to Los Angeles. So anyway, I love Texas. Okay, anything, Claire, I would be ready to approve this, but you are not agendized properly. Now, as I understand it, Sharon, are you there? Sharon? Okay, we get 2 sets of agendas, right? We get one sent out like the week before the meeting? Yes, Adele? Stacy, yes? Do you get those?
Yes. We received that.
Check that agenda. We are required to have 72 hours of noticing to the general public about which projects, what level of review.
I actually
that.
did not receive agenda until, I'm looking on my phone, I did not receive an agenda until last week, and it came electronically.
Yes, and COVID has many unfortunate side effects, okay? Check the agenda when you get it, make sure that it's agendized properly. You're done. Thank you very much for your help. Don't you agree? And I'm going to recommend it to be approved. Or actually recommend that you be continued to the next item. Correct?
Yeah, isn't that what we're doing, is we're continuing this item to the next agenda,
To the next consent agenda.
consent agenda? Is that what we're doing? Okay.
And I will promise you guys I'll take an extra careful look at this to make sure you're on for final next time. Okay?
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
Because this shouldn't be done. Now,
John, can I just add for the record?
Yes,
I appreciate your comments. Sharon has been working and she has been deathly ill. So
Yes.
not a easy thing to do when you're feeling as badly as she's been feeling. So apologies for the mistake, but it's one of those things, like John said, it's a COVID impact and we have to kind of just move on from it.
Okay, I'm looking at the agenda that I received electronically. I got this from Sharon on the 28th.
yep,
No, I got this from Sharon. I'm sorry. I got this from Sharon on, I actually got it from her on Saturday, July 23rd at 7:33 p.m.
yes.
And that agenda that says, as I'm reading it here, this is final on consent.
So I don't know what happened. So Kimberly, can you keep your eye on this project as well, please? On the
I
agenda?
will watch the next agenda. Yes.
Thank you. We apologize, guys. I mean, we have no legal path at this point except to continue you. Sorry. Now, you know you can get in the building department, right? We're not holding you up.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
Adele, you can also receive your land use permit approval. You've got your preliminary, you can receive your land use permit approval and begin running your 10-day appeal period for land use as well.
okay, that would be great. Thank
Work
you.
with your planner.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm reading this agenda a little bit closer, and it's my mistake. It says C. I was looking at the wrong item. You're right, C4, when I received it, it did say preliminary approval on consent.
Okay, so there's a reason they get sent out early. Nobody is perfect. You know, we try to get things picked up then, okay? Thank you, both of you. Have a nice fiesta. Viva. Viva.
Thank you, John.
Okay, bye. Okay. Claire, thank you for your help on all that.
Okay, so we're on break now till 1 o'clock.
Yes, we have a 5-minute break.
Okay, good. I'm gonna go get my lunch. I'll be back.
Mark, you are on mute. Mark, you are on mute.
Okay, how's that?
That's better, thank you. We did review your drawings today. We are recommending the consent agenda, which is what you were on, started at 12:30, not 1 o'clock. We did review your item. We did approve it with the condition that the roofing be non-reflective, okay?
Right. I received the email from Willow, and I have since forwarded her the revised plan showing that as a bronze with non-reflective, and that's on the plan that
That's between you and her. It's,
Okay.
we're done with it. Just, we actually got a public comment from a neighbor 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, where in the afternoon, a metal roof was blinding him with the reflected light.
Right.
So we're doing everything we can. It is a requirement not to have it be reflective.
Okay. So that hearing for this is pretty much was done already?
We are, well, Claire and I do the consent agenda. We recommend it to the full board, which will happen here in about 10, 15 minutes.
All right.
At that point, it becomes a done deal. You're still subject to a 10-day appeal period, but you know, you're done with us.
All right. Thank you.
Okay? Thank you very much. It is 1 o'clock on July 28th, 2022. I'd like to call the Montecito Board of Architectural Review to order. First item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody attending this meeting that would like to address the board on an item not on a specific agenda item, please?
I don't have anybody, John. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2, reconsider the circumstances of COVID. I would like to keep this going. Is everybody else on board with that? The online conference?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to move to continue meeting virtually with the standard set of findings that need to be made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you all. Agenda status report. Sharon, do you have something for us today?
Yes, item number 7. I don't have an agenda in front of me. I'm sorry. I can't say what it is.
669 Picacho Lane.
Yes, that project description was incorrectly published, and it needs to be continued to the August 11th MBAR meeting.
Do I have a motion to that effect, please?
I'll move to continue item 7 for 669 Picacho to whenever next available agenda is, I guess.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Any discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion
Thank you.
carries. Minutes.
That's all
Were
I
there
have.
minutes included? I did not do them. That may very well have been my mistake. Yeah, did anyone else get a chance to review these?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any comments,
I
David?
do.
Okay.
Let me get to it here. On item 3, I specifically requested 3D renderings and site sections. So I'd like to add to this minutes. One member requires site sections and 3D renderings of the proposed building and landscaping that clearly demonstrate how the potential visual and privacy impacts to the neighbors and the public trail will be mitigated.
Okay. Anything else, David?
Not from my end.
Okay.
And
So,
I believe that, John, did we talk about the slope of the driveway?
we did. Okay, so what would you like to add on that tip?
I'd like to add another line item that the applicant to verify that the elevation of the garage as designed will work and meet code.
I would recommend not code, but commonly accepted
Standard.
traffic design, driveway design.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is there anything else?
Nope, that's all.
Anybody? Okay, so do I have a motion for approval then, please?
I'll make a motion for approval of the minutes with those revisions.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. This is absent.
I was not at that meeting, so I'm abstaining.
Okay,
Thanks, Claire.
and Bill.
Myself as well.
Okay, I have not heard or seen from Don Sharp yet today. Is he with us, please?
John,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, excuse me. He had sent me an email a little earlier stating that he had a doctor's appointment, but would be popping in shortly.
Okay, excellent. I just hadn't seen them. I wanted to know how many people we had.
Right.
Okay, so Montecito consent items agenda. We had 4 items today. I'd like to deal with each one of them separately. Item number 1 was on for both preliminary and final. Claire and I would like to recommend approval for both preliminary and final with the applicant to provide non-reflective roofing. It's a metal roof, as you remember that. And the applicant is actually here. He has agreed to it. And since we are on for preliminary, county council requires that we ask, is there anybody attending this meeting that would like to comment to the board on item number C1, 475 Santa Rosa Lane, please? Seeing none. Is there any, I will move for preliminary final. Is there a second for that, please?
I'll second it.
Any discussion, please? All those in favor? Aye. Mark, you're on your way there.
Thank you.
Okay, item C2, 985 Hot Springs Road. We reviewed this project as well. There was no landscaping and there were sufficient details to understand how to build it. To that end, we are on for final only. And to that end, I would like to move for final approval as submitted. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Very good. Any discussion, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item C3 was on for final only. There was very minimally landscaping required. We discussed it and feel that the drawings, while maybe not perfect, it was such a minor amount that we didn't feel it needed more documentation. And I felt that the drawings correctly reflected what we look for at final. And to that end, I would like to move for final approval as submitted. Is there a second for that, please?
I'll second that.
And we do not need public comment, so all those in favor say aye, please.
John, I need to recuse myself on this matter.
Very good. Well, very good. Excellent. So all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All those recusing themselves?
I need to recuse myself. Thank you, John.
Excellent. Okay, item C4. Not all of us have been super healthy this last couple of weeks, and there was a mistake in the agenda, inadvertent, of course. And because of that, we were not permitted to give the final approval that was well earned and deserved by this project. We are required to continue it for another 2 weeks, and to that end, I would like to move to continue this project to the next consent calendar. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Any discussions, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, please. Okay, so members' informational briefing. Anybody do anything or go anywhere?
No, but Sharon, I will not be at the next meeting, so I'll let you know that August 11th.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Chip. Anybody else? Okay, I do have something. The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, every month publishes the thing called the ENSO update. El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO. And what it does is it looks at the temperature differential between Indonesia and Costa Rica at the ocean temperature level, at the surface. And the reason they do that is because it is a predictive tool that goes out between 4 and 6 months to predict if we're in El Nino, which means it's going to be rainy, or La Nina, which means it's going to be dry. We now have a 62 to 66% chance that the weather pattern we are in will continue at least through mid-winter. Obviously, that's very serious. I wanted to share it with the board. It looks like, just like COVID is sometimes a long haul, this may also be a long haul. Okay.
So to clarify, John, we're going to have a dry winter. Is that what you're saying?
That is what is being predicted.
All right.
Okay. And it is statistical. It's probabilistic. You know, little things like a massive volcano that throws significant amounts of dust up in the air will change the entire planet's weather. But assuming something like that doesn't happen, it looks like another extremely dry year. Somebody, maybe Sharon, can you turn your mic off?
Sure, sorry.
Thank you. Okay, staff update. Kimberly, anything?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, we are on to item number 1. 867 Lilac Drive. Anthony, are you here or somebody else to represent the project, please?
Hey everyone, good to see you all. I'm here with Bill Hull from Harrison Design.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Um,
This is the first time we've seen this project, correct?
yes, this is.
Okay.
And then as well, Karen from Steve Hansen, Landscape Architect, should also be on and mic'd if possible.
Okay.
All right, great. All right, should we start, John?
Yes, please.
All right, so thank you for having us on behalf of the owners of it who have recently moved to Montecito and are enjoying their new neighbors in the new neighborhood.
And the dry weather.
And the dry weather, that's right.
There you go.
But not humid at least, because they're
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a much better much better weather. So we're there. This project in all is a little over 676 square foot addition. It involves a family room, the dining room, master loge infill. We'll go through each of these just in the plan form as we point them out to you a little bit. And a master closet addition, a couple little additions, and then some interior remodel, and then some landscape improvements. And John, you'll be very happy to see an 86% number down there.
There you go. Keep it up.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're well within that range. And yeah, so this is we're going to be basically matching the style of the house existing, and not trying to do too much, but just sort of beautify it and add some features. So with this, the few zoom ins here, if we can go to the zoom into the D shot of the photo, that's the front entry off the auto court, and we're going to be adding on the left hand side there a gate, person gate to walk through, and some landscape improvements in this area. And then on the E to the right of that, you can kind of see into the backyard on the right, and that's going to be when we get, if we can scroll over to the right a little bit, or one
another photo.
Yeah, one. Yeah, the E shot to the right there.
E.
There we go. So to the right where the trellis is, that's where the infill is going to be, and toward the biggest infill towards the back. And then we'll talk about the other infills as we look at them in plan. And then the other shot to look at is actually I is another good one to see from the backyard side of things. Where that trellis is off to the left to the back, there's going to be a small addition for the family room, and all in all, it's in areas that are very low key in the backyard. And then the last one to look at is Q at the bottom there. and actually there's will be one more after this, but there's going to be an infill under the existing wall there of the where the piers are, all under existing roof line on the upper level. There's going to be some infill there. We'll point it out as we go. And then actually the real last one to look at is L, and as to show one more infill spot where the dining room, we're expanding it a little bit under the existing eave, under that. So we're bringing that wall of glass out to basically the face of that wall plane. So we're infilling where the existing roof is. All right, and then if you go to the next sheet, A1.1. So the things to point out here are the little dark spots of where the infill are. The top, starting at the top left, that was where the family room infill, where the trellis was that we were pointing to. And then the lower left version, and actually let me see if I can even annotate on what you have here. So yeah, here we go. So this one is the family room addition. That's where the trellis is. This is the infill where underneath the porch where the dining room is, still all under the roof line. And then this one here, sorry. No, it's not taking.
So that's okay. I mean,
Yeah, let's just move on. This is not.
And then that's the closet towards the front. So, all right. And then the last piece on this one to look at is we met with the fire department and just kind of walked it through with them. And their only main concern right now that they wanted to check on was the width of the driveway right here to get 20 feet instead of the existing 18 feet. So they can have a pullover. So we're gonna have to widen that area probably another 2 or 3 feet, and that's gonna be in the works. We just met with them like last week. So we just wanted to make sure we were preemptively looking at anything that they might be concerned with. So, and then thank you. And the next, the floor plan, you can see some of the interior remodels and new spaces. We're not remodeling the whole thing. We're just gonna be doing pieces here and there. And some rooms you can see in the light gray where they're shaded in, new laundry room location, and getting the house to function a little bit better. And then some modifications in the living room where the fireplace and the master bedroom. So some of the interior remodel, and then the other infills that we talked about. Yeah, this is just a roof plan, and you can see that. And in elevation, we can see we're also going with new doors and windows throughout, kind of upgrading them and making them a little nicer. Some of them are dilapidated, and so some of it's going to be steel and some of it's going to be a clad that looks similar to steel. It's a low end with a low profile. And then the railing is the other piece. And everything is kind of generally speaking matching existing. The railing is except for it's going to be instead of iron pickets going down, we're doing a iron sort of squares or rectangles with an infill of glass to sort of maximize the view more, and it still works with this sort of simplified modern slash classic building as sort of a very simple structure. So we're continuing that simplicity, but a little bit nicer. And then that is it for the architecture and elevations. And I'll hand it over to Karen for landscape. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so on the landscape, I wanted to point out that this is a 3-acre lot, and the areas that we're proposing to renovate are all immediately around the house that have already been developed. And the house and landscape was originally installed in the 80s. So the owners are looking to make some updates to the materials, and primarily in the motor court and entry courtyard. Right now, the paving in the motor court extends all the way to the existing retaining walls that are there. And so one of the first improvements we'd like to make is to reduce the paving and make some planting areas around the perimeter of the motor court, and add a few more trees. And then we would also like to update the materials, which are right now are dark gray concrete and black tile. And a lot of the concrete is going to stay, but we're going to restain it a lighter color. And then the black tile is going to get replaced with a stone cobble, and some of the existing exposed aggregate will get replaced with the sand finished concrete. And then in the courtyard area right now, there's a lot of the saltillo tile, and we would like to make the area feel more welcoming. And so we're going to convert the lower half of the courtyard to a gravel gravel sitting area with a fireplace and an olive tree and have more planting pockets. And then we'll add a low water feature and replace the saltillo paving with a lighter limestone. And then on the west side of the house, underneath the existing oak tree, I think you saw in the pictures we just looked at that there are currently concrete pavers under the oak tree, which we'd like to remove. And then adjacent to the dining room, which will be enclosed, we're going to expand that patio slightly and change the saltillo pavers to limestone. And right now there's existing artificial turf on the west side of the house, which we're proposing to retain. The one change is that down at the south end of the turf, which currently slopes fairly steeply, we would like to level that and make it more usable and extend it slightly on one side. And that's where we're proposing boulder walls, and that's where the soil import would happen. And then underneath the existing pergola on the west side, which I believe used to house a spa, we're going to change that to be a barbecue area with a counter. And then as we move over towards the pool, which again, I think you saw in the pictures, right now there's reddish pink concrete all the way around the pool and the steps that go up to the upper terrace. And so we're going to change the steps. The layout will be fairly similar, but cleaner lines, and we'll use the limestone and lighter colors. And then around the pool, we're going to take out a large section of the concrete and replace it with artificial turf. And the red concrete will get replaced with limestone as well. So these are some character images of the limestone. So these materials are something very similar, but a lighter color palette and more in the gray tones would be used primarily. And the two lower images show some stone cobble details that would be used in the motor court.
Are you done, Karen?
Yes, that's all I have on the landscape right now.
And architecture's done too?
All good on this end.
Thank you. Okay, questions, please. Bill?
Yeah, a couple questions. Roof material. Are you changing the roof color, finish, material? What are you doing there? Anything?
Oh yeah, sorry. On the flat roof, we aren't changing it, but for the pyramid, we're going to metal.
And there is one, there are actually like two pyramid structures. The larger one is over the living room. We're retaining that one and changing the roof material to more of a metal. And then there is an existing pyramid over the garage that we're just removing.
So the existing flat roof is going to remain that red. Is it an asphalt material?
Yeah, I believe so. We can maybe go to the photos and see it from above.
Yeah, because that's a big part of what you see, I think, right, from when you pull into the site.
So this is climbing up on the hill above. The owner's hill. It really isn't seen from anywhere.
You approach from below.
Yeah, you approach from below off to the left there. Yeah.
Okay, all right. And I didn't see your chimneys shown on your elevations. I think that was just a detail you missed, and I'm assuming you're just keeping the shrouds like they are then and not changing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And colors and the windows, are they going to match then what's existing? You're matching existing windows?
Yeah, they're going to be sort of a the dark steel metallized color. So it's like probably a darker either bronze or greenish black. We haven't got to that point yet. Okay. On that exact, but we'll be coming back. Conceptually, this is where we're kind of thinking of going with things, and then as we develop it, we're gonna come back to you with that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Claire?
Well, look, my question was following up on is what color are the pyramids? I mean, you're saying they're metal. What color metal are you using?
So let's see what we're gonna pull down.
Yeah, we hadn't set on a color. We hadn't set on a color yet, but it's probably going to be playing off of the metal doors and windows. So that's what we're showing for right now in the blues and grays, but it hasn't been totally locked in. But we will definitely be locking in the palette at the next steps.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Elida, please.
Dave, can we go back to slide I?
The images?
Eye.
Yeah.
Picture eye. Yeah. man.
Karen, is the renovation or construction to the left of the oak? Have you protected the whole drip line from construction on the oak?
Protected the drip line. There is going to be construction near that oak, so we will be looking at ways to protect that oak during construction. There will be construction nearby.
Are you going to put a barrier around it? I mean, around the drip line, that construction can't happen within the drip line?
There, on the left side of the picture, there will be construction within the drip line, but we could put a barrier at the edge of construction, and we could protect the rest of the drip line, with the exception of where they're replacing the windows, but we could protect it all the way around to the right side of the photo. On the right side of the photo where you see the existing pavers, those will get replaced with limestone there. So there will be construction underneath the drip line of this tree, but we can protect all areas not affected that we don't need access to.
And actually, one thing that might be helpful for visualizing a little bit better is if you go to J, the next one to the right, if you scroll to the right, it also has another angle of it. Yeah, so there is space, but it's basically where the trellis is where our addition is. But there, just so you understand the spatial relationship, it's still definitely under the drip line. And there has been initial discussion with the arborist, but we are wanting to be sensitive to how we're adding and what that foundation might be to be lesser impactful.
So roughly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Anthony, that we could protect the roots at the edge of the existing pavers where they are
basically
now.
that's about where the line of the wall is. Yeah.
Claire, do you have anything you want to bring in here?
Well, I was just going to ask another question. Is this oak what you were speaking of during your presentation, where you're going to be removing the bricks from this oak?
Yes, exactly. We're going to pull up the pavers underneath this and turn this back into a planting area, giving space to the trunk without any plants.
So does that mean, when you're saying that, does that mean that you're removing the oaks all the way up to the wall that we can see in this photograph? I mean, like, are you just doing it around or are you removing all of these brick paver?
All of the pavers in this photo will get removed.
Okay, great. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Lida?
Yep, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. David?
Yes, I'm wondering about how visible I believe it's the south side of the residence is. Let me get to this elevation. Is it visible from neighbors or the street or from the community from the distance?
I would say no, based on the topography and the amount of vegetation that is lower on the slope here. This elevation is not visible from the street.
Yeah, if you go to the site plan, you can kind of see it. It's a strong slope down, and as you're starting to get ready to turn into the driveway, you can have a glimpse of it, maybe just the upper level. But it is very it's very hard to see it. Yeah, down at the bottom where when you're pulling in the driveway, you're kind of getting a glimpse of the second floor. But that's it, and it's only at a very sort of specific moment as you're driving along Lilac.
Yeah, there's a lot of existing vegetation along the street that's fairly tall, and then there are also existing olive trees along the driveway that help conceal the house as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
No questions. Thank you.
Don, are you with us yet?
Yes, no questions.
And I have a question about that glass rail, which is, I think, where Dave was trying to go. Had you considered a non-reflective glass for that glass rail, please?
We had not, but we can definitely look into that and see.
Okay, public comment. Is there anybody that's attending this Zoom meeting that would like to address the board on item number 1, 867 Lilac, please?
Hello?
Nobody? Very good. Thank you. Board comments, please. Same order. Bill?
Yeah, I think, generally the impact, the additions are minor, so I'm not too worried about it. I was looking at Google Earth. That south exposure looks pretty visible, but again, Google Earth isn't showing it from the street or the other neighbors' houses, but I would maybe hinge upon what I think John and Dave are talking about in terms of non-reflective glass. There might be certainly something to consider, or a different material like a cable rail or something else that might be not reflective. Other than that, I think I'm okay with what you're proposing as long as you're matching colors and finishes. And I'm still unsure whether you're going to be able to replace that red roof, flat roof, but I'll let you guys decide that. And then when you come back in for your next review, present your colors to us. But my gut would say that it's probably going to have to go to a gray or something that matches your blue. So, but other than that, I'm okay with what I'm seeing here. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire?
I have no, I think it's a pretty straightforward project. It's all existing for the most part, except the what they're adding on. And I'm happy that they're taking all that brick away from that poor little oak or that poor oak that's up against the house. And so, yeah, I don't have any other comments. I think it's, other than that they need to be clear that they need to get a planner before they come back.
Elida?
No comment.
David?
Yeah, my two, I think it's a nice project, a nice update of the house. My two concerns are, number one, the glass rail, which Bill's already discussed, and I'd prefer not to have glass, but if you are going to provide more information about the visibility and using non-reflective glass. The other thing is the preservation of that oak tree, to make sure that you're consulting with an arborist and have a report that signs off on what you're proposing.
Chip?
I don't have any further comments or to add to the project. Thank you.
And Don?
My only concern is the reflective qualities of the roof material, the metal roof material, and the color of the adjacent flat roof, and that the oak is thoroughly protected by our standards. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to second, third, and fourth those same comments. Members of the board, this is a pretty straightforward project. I think that it should come back for preliminary final at our next meeting. It may not make final, but I think that we should at least give it a shot. What do other members think?
Not until they've got a planner, Mike.
Well, they can't get on until they have a planner. So at the next meeting, after they have a planner, after the planner has reviewed all the zoning, which I'm sure will be conforming, after they've had a chance to chat with the fire department about widening the driveway, I believe they should come back for preliminary and final. As I said, they may not make final, but I'd love to give them a shot, and let's just keep this project moving. Any comments about that, please?
I agree.
I agree, John.
Okay, so Anthony, it looks like you've got a good clear shot here.
Awesome.
And Karen, so don't be shy with details or information or arborist reports, reflectivity, LRV, be thorough, and you may be able to get through the next time. Thanks, everybody. Viva.
All right.
Okay, item number
Viva.
2.
Thank you.
Viva. Item number 2. 43 Humphrey Road. Danny, are you here or somebody?
Hello,
Danny's
yeah,
got
Danny.
his hat on. Okay, so
Danny Longwell here, architect, and I can run you through it.
okay.
So this project it's on Humphrey Road. 43 Humphrey Road. It's a small lot in the inland coastal zone, and there's an existing 1,500 square foot house that's proposed to be demolished and replaced with a 2,700 square foot residence. And the current property does not have parking or a garage, so we've added those elements to the project as required. I guess the little history of the property is that it really has a beautiful kind of street frontage with a really giant sycamore, and I think these are maybe maples along the street. And really the whole property experience of the property is between the street and the house. And we've kind of really studied how to maintain that feel of this kind of garden-like frontage and kind of the character of the house and the property from the street. So that's just an underlying theme that we've studied in detail as we worked through this concept. So if you can see the survey, the next page, it has an existing house that is, I guess there's an access easement to the property behind through our lot. So it is a little narrower than the actual size of the lot. And there's actually another driveway similar to a flag lot to the north of us. So there's kind of this wide section of driveway and separation between the neighbor to the north. The house is in a flood zone, so we do have to comply with the current finished floor elevations, which raised it up 3.5 feet from the existing house, and the details that accompany that. But you can see the large kind of footprint of the sycamore there in the middle of the front yard. It's pretty spectacular, and it's I don't know, it's at least 80 feet tall. And so we can go to the next page is the site plan. And so we've kind of this idea of having this outdoor space in the front of the house that allows you to sort of connect with this experience of the front kind of garden area, this large oak. So the existing parking is way down on the bottom right. It's on the I guess south side of the property line in the front, kind of in the front, yeah. And what we've researched this, and we're requesting a modification which is allowed for parking. We're still going to have our 2 legal spaces, but we're within the front setback, within the allowable limit, no less than 16.5 feet from the street. So we have a small single car garage, and we've expanded the existing parking spot to the left, which is just a little gravel area. I'll show you in the photos, to include a full spot that is not in the side yard. Even though you kind of see on either side of the properties, there's kind of these driveways. So in terms of neighborhood context, we're really kind of keeping within the pattern. And that's our goal, is to kind of keep these really mature, lush looking trees in the front yard. And another concept, because we're going from single story to 2-story and we have flood conditions, kind of really wanted to terrace the massing of the building from the street front. So we've got a small little stone garage cottage structure at ground level, and then we step up to the single-story portion of the main house in the front great room, and then the 2-story portion kind of sits behind that. So from the street elevation, we feel we kind of keep that Montecito coastal cottage vibe, and that's the intent of the design. So let's see. I think it'd be good now to go to this. Would it be okay to switch to the site photos? Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. So this is the street frontage. can see the big sycamore in the background, and then these two big mature trees on either side. And so, it's hard. This sycamore is a huge drip line right in the middle front. So it really makes it difficult to, put a structure in the front. And also we think it kind of spoils the character of from the street. So next page, this is kind of looking from the south towards the street frontage and from the north back down. And you can kind of see those gravel driveways on either side of the existing house. Next. This zoomed in at the front of the existing cottage. We've done our historical study for these, and it came back with not significance. There's been a number of alterations. The front gable there was added, and in the back there's significant addition that is within the rear yard setback. So we had to fix that on the new house. So we're actually,
Away, right? I thought that's going away, right?
yeah. So just showing that and giving you the background. But next, so we can kind of go through those since we're not keeping those. Bit more of the kind of the side yard, the parking area. Look from the front of the house, looking back towards the street. That's more or less the position that we're maintaining with the new house, to kind of maintain that feeling. It's very well screened. It's very nice kind of private yard there. This is the back side of the house. That is currently encroaching further than what we're proposing because it's 10 feet of it are non-conforming into the rear yard setback. Next, please. Rear yard of the house. Next. This bottom one is looking kind of standing up on the railing of the existing house, looking over the fence line. Fences, I think, are 8 feet there. There's a lot of mature vegetation around it. And then there's kind of this enclosure that's on the neighbor's property that provides a further buffer. And then that neighbor has, that's their kind of front yard, garage, turnaround, front door beyond. So that's kind of the context. And then here's just a colored next site plan is just kind of showing the existing trees that we feel really are part of the experience property. That's the existing floor plan going away. And then this is the proposed floor plan. There's a hot tub in the back, in the rear yard. Go next, please. Let's see, I think.
The other way, Dave.
1 second. Sorry about that.
I mean, I guess it's important to point out, I think that the bedrooms are all very modestly sized. Even the master, kind of just efficient, 11 by 13, 11 by 12 and a half. Low plate heights, small, really efficient bathrooms, trying to just kind of, which I think again fits with kind of character of the house itself and the neighborhood.
Elevations.
Yeah, elevations. Okay, so this is the front, the upper one is the front elevation with our best representation of that large sycamore. I know it's probably a eucalyptus, but I think the idea is to get the massing and feel of that. And, this idea of kind of terracing up, breaking up the facade to we're kind of forced into a box, but we've done our best to not have a box and make this charming and fit the scale.
What's the total gain from existing to plus 33, please? Height.
Oh, what is the height there? We're 28, let's see, floor.
28 feet, looks like.
Yeah, we're below the 28-foot limit.
No. From existing grade to required new finished floor, how high are you being pushed up?
It's just about 4.5 feet.
Okay.
So this, I think, shows that idea from street frontage on the right to the rear of the house on the left. You know, this idea of kind of stepping up the massing from street visibility. Also shows you kind of that condition with our finished floor being raised up. The next elevation, this is rear yard at the top and the north side, the north facade on the bottom. This is the rear yard. You know, we are stacked more towards the rear yard, but again, we've made some moves with kind of a balcony with a solid railing, the lower level or a deck, and then you know, doing a gable and kind of breaking up the massing on the rear side too. We've got kind of a view window that looks at the mountains to the north. The window sill is about 8 feet there. So it's pretty, there isn't kind of a privacy issue. You're kind of looking up from inside the house. And then I think we have, the next sheet is Sam's landscape concept. I think Sam should be on.
Yeah, hi Danny, and hi MBAR members. So I can take it from here as far as picking up on Danny's presentation about the garden court. The entry cottage feeling is what we really wanted to preserve, and obviously we have some really substantial mature trees in our foreground. We have camphor trees, 3 of them along Humphrey Road on the street that are very big in caliper and have a nice canopy, and we're working with those certainly as our approach comes to the garden gate. And then we have some fruit trees and some ornamental plums, but we have the substantial sycamore in the center that's probably, it's a 48-inch base on one of the trunks and 24 on the other, and then it really does have a marvelous silhouette. So that's kind of the image. The oblong shape bulges into that courtyard. And then on the north side, we have 2 substantial Phoenix canariensis that are depicted on the north side of the patio and the garage, and then an oak. Between 2 oaks is that other driveway from the other property. So that is quite a nice dark green screen on the north. And then the whole north easement line has got a lot of substantial Pittosporum undulatum that aren't really shown, but that's on the other property, creating a good privacy. And then as you move to the northwest, we have another oak tree in the back that's very substantial, that kind of softens the 2-story element in the back. And you can see as you wrap around to the south, that hedge that Danny mentioned is Eugenia. It is quite healthy, and it's cut at about 10 feet now, and it could be allowed to go higher for some privacy issues as need be, but that's all to be preserved. The south line also has Eugenia hedge that's existing to remain. We want a new fence that kind of surrounds the parking and creates a new portal coming into the cottage. That'll either be wood or metal and painted white, most likely in that cottage theme. And then we'll be planting that out with, maybe Japanese blueberry or again, Eugenia. So the privacy is important from the street. And the interior courtyard, as we've talked about, is going to be preserved with low ground covers. We might put a little fountain element for some sound and some aesthetics in the kind of the southeast side of the little courtyard for a little bit of white noise and nice aesthetics as we come into our gravel walkway to the front porch and to the patio to the upper side that has little seating and a fireplace. Cottage planting, shade planting, our plant list to the right is quite extensive for shade and also for flower, but always looking at drought tolerance. And there's no lawn. It's all going to be a carapia or Donmondia or thyme or something that'll be underneath the sycamore. So I think that summarizes the landscape at this conceptual stage. And the pictures, if you go through them, you can just see how substantial the plant material is that we're trying to preserve and work around and be very thoughtful and sensitive with. So I think those are the main points of the garden direction. If there's any questions, we're certainly here. Thank you.
Thank you. Tip.
Questions?
Yes, please.
Yes. Number one, what is the FAR, Danny?
Sorry, I was muted there. We're at 110%. We did a neighborhood study too that was submitted with this. Covers, oh, well, we have, I think in the file, there should be the updated version. For some reason, this one calculated it.
The one we got says 49%.
Yeah, what happened was first floor existing
Yeah.
should say 1518.
Yeah, well, we've submitted the correct
And
one
when you
along
do
with
that,
the neighborhood
it is
studies.
110. Okay.
Like, yeah, we're at 110, and it should be in there, but usually never is.
Well, the reality is you don't have a planner yet, so nothing is getting through to us because you haven't,
Yeah.
That's the breakdown here, is that you come on without having a planner, so whatever you've submitted is out there, la la land.
Okay, so we are,
John?
yes.
John, can I speak for, hi Danny, it's Sharon.
Hi,
I believe sometimes when they don't have a planner and it's just something that's going to help tell their story a little bit better, I'll put it in there. And I thought I had put that in the file, but Danny had submitted something updated.
Okay, so we are in questions and a tip is on the floor. Please.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
But your time is up.
Back to the site plan, please. Sheet number 4. So I have a question for you, Danny. What is the front yard setback? You said you're obtaining a variance to put the garage in the front yard setback?
Yeah, so there's a rule that says you can do a minor modification to the parking requirements for structures, but no less than 16.5 feet from the right of way. And so you can see that the real front setback is the line that the garage kind of goes into, and then the exception for the modification that we're requesting is to
So in a way, both your extra parking and your garage is in the front yard setback.
That's correct.
So my next question is, with an easement, you said to the lot in the back, am I right?
On the north side, yes.
Yes.
Have you looked, it's just a question, have you looked at an option to approach the garage and parking from the easement instead of having the front? And the reason I'm asking, because it seems like when you look at the front of the lot, you have,
that's a good,
you have a parking, you have a garage, and you have a driveway, so you're left with a very small low portion of landscape.
Right.
That's just a question.
Yeah, it is. We did look at that. Those are mature oaks there just north of the garage. And then there's these big palm trees. It's pretty tight there because it sort of funnels from like a split driveway to 2 driveways. And you can see like where the property line is relative to like the flag lot driveway. It's pretty pinched right there.
And you don't see any reason to put the house one in front and the garage in the back to share the driveway with the back house?
Well, there's a gated entry that's to the back area. As soon as you kind of where you see our outdoor fireplace there, the second palm tree to the west, that's sort of like a gated yard that that's where the rear lot's yard starts. It's just pretty tight there. There's not a lot of room to get in there.
Anyway, just those are my questions. Thank you. That's it.
Don,
I have no questions. Thank you.
Elida.
While we're on this site plan, Sam, are those three little trees between the sycamore and the frontal trees, are those coming out?
There's some smaller and very nice little fruit trees. The intent is those will be maintained as a nice.
They're existing? Those fruit trees are existing?
There's 2 new ones, Lida, and 1 existing. So they're new and existing, but we'd like to save and transplant some of the trees that are being removed. There's a Prunus thundercloud. We'd like to move that if we could into that position, but they're existing to remain if possible, but that garden feeling is something that we're really trying to preserve. But the garage is close to that one.
Yeah.
So we want to work with them.
I just had concern about sunlight between the frontal trees and the sycamore, trying to bring new citrus in, what might have been a challenge.
Yes, that's a good point.
Thank you.
Bill.
Yeah, while we're on this, Sam, the parking there, the gravel parking area, is that pushed up against the property line now, or is there some screening?
It's right up against there. There may be some really thin hedging. I think it can be seen in the site photos.
There's a little bit of screening between the driveway to the south, Bill, and that parking area now. So if you could find a picture, but it's
probably the second. Yeah, there's one there. You kind of see on the far left. There's not a lot.
Right now, that's Lelandia cypress.
Yeah, I mean, because we are moving out of the side yard setback, we actually do have some space to plant along that fence now.
So you could. Okay.
We could, yeah.
Then
I think
back to that.
We'll study that, Bill, because I think there is some room against that fence that could be supplemented and certainly increase that planting along that side.
And then go back to that. Yeah, there you go, Dave. Thanks. And then up by the porch, you've got that pushed up against that fence to the easement to the back. Is there some planting? And I mean, it looks like you'd be standing on that porch looking down on the driveway below. Is there planting on that side? Am I missing something over there?
Yeah, we didn't show really very well what's on that north side, but there is planting in there on the other property line that we'll show when we come back. Plus, we would be planting in the little offset pockets where we can, other plant material along that northern side. You can also see, as you get back towards the middle of the house, we've shown some vines. So we'd be putting some vines like a honeysuckle and some kind of a fragrant, thick, vigorous vine where we can along the fencing, because that's all currently existing fence.
Yeah.
And then most of the planting is on the other parcel.
On the other side, which is technically your property. Can you plant on your property even though it's an easement?
Danny, I don't know if there's easement language that allows us to maybe plant in that easement, but we certainly will look into supplementing and creating better privacy.
And then last question, Danny. Dave, can you go to the north elevation real quick? You have a big glass window there kind of facing north, which is cool. Have you thought about how you're going to light that space so that it doesn't bleed into the neighbors?
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably have some low-hanging pendants at the island and then recessed lighting in the ceiling. And it's, as it relates to the neighbor, I think it shows on the site plan, it's a really low structure there with no windows facing this side. And it might show it.
So there.
Well, is it on? Maybe the green next sheet, I think might show it on the.
Are you saying their structure?
Yeah, there's kind of so you're kind of looking over a roof of a low structure.
Okay.
Up towards the mountains.
Neighbors building. Okay. All right. That was all. Thank you.
Claire.
Yes, let's go back to, I guess it's easy, it goes back to the landscape plan, to Sam's plan. Okay, what are the height of the walls? I see, I see we coming in and then we've got steps on either side because this house is now out of the ground. What are the height of those walls?
Around the porch?
I guess you're calling that the porch?
Yeah, it's kind of a raised porch. And they're about 7 feet.
7 feet
Yes.
above grade?
Yes.
So we've got, so when we approach this property, the ground level where the path is, we now are going to, halfway through, we're going to see a wall 7 feet tall.
These walls there kind of on the right of the stairs. Is that?
Well, that's all. I mean, the whole house is raised out of the ground, however,
yes.
The flood control is. So ultimately, the whole site is flat in the beginning, but then the house is the walls are 7 feet tall, and the house is on top of those 7 foot walls.
Oh, the lower wall is about 4.5 feet.
4.5, and then it would have a railing, Claire, that would be on top of that for the porch. So the porch railing would sit, if it's 42 inches, I think it needs to be, would be right around 8 feet off grade.
Right. So what you're saying though is that between, I mean, there's on the other plan you can see. I mean, go back to the landscape plan. So I'm trying to grasp here because you guys are talking about porches, but isn't the porch inside the house? And then there's this area, this kind of tan.
So that's an open porch right there.
That's an open porch.
Open porch.
An open.
And that lower one's down at it's down at ground level. It's a foot. It's kind of a step up.
Down there, yeah. So I'm just trying to find out what the height of these walls are. You're telling me they're 7 feet tall.
Yeah, just where that label that says porch with the 2 arrows, those walls, those are 7 feet above ground because we're, 4
between the steps going up. Is the wall there also 7 feet?
Above grade, yes, but above the porch, it's only 42 inches.
No, I understand up there. I'm just trying to get a visual of what I'm looking at when I walk into this property, and I'm going to see a house on top of 7 foot walls.
4.5 foot.
4.5 foot walls. Yeah, Claire, just to kind of help you, kind of from the back of the garage to the porch, if you're going from right to left, from the garage to the porch, that wall is 7 feet, a fence that's 7 feet plus. And that's got planting behind it. We'll have planting on it. Between the garage and there's a good one. Look at that area.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
The porch is up above the fence that's on the ground. The fence that Danny's talking about is about 7 feet high towards that fireplace.
Got it. Okay. That was all my questions.
David.
Bill covered my questions. Thanks.
David, can you go to PDF page 4, please? Thank you. I don't know who wants to take this, but I'm going to start at the top of this sheet. I notice that there's driveway, little inlet into a garage driveway into a parking space below that, and then a driveway. And as I look at that gray area, which is something to do with hardscape, it looks to me like we've got something like 70 to 80% hardscape with maybe 20% landscaping on the street. So given that, Do you believe, here's the question, do you believe that a important reconsideration of this hardscape utilizing portions that are already covered is possible on this property? Please.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly really been our concern from the beginning is if we were to put if we met the letter of the ordinance without the modification, we have a massive amount of pavement added to this current condition, and it just doesn't feel right to do that to this.
Okay, so the question is there another configuration from Humphrey Road? Tip was beginning to work on this a little bit, where we could eliminate nearly all of the gray at the street from your property.
Well, if you go to the landscape plan, maybe Dave, you can see where we've got landscaping coming out and grabbing onto all three of the camphor trees. And then in the locations where the driveway is, the driveway to the garage is going to be broken up. We have those peninsulas and then that entry core, which is all landscaping except for, of course, the pavers. So you can see that there's three, two or three, if you want to count, places of landscaping coming out to attach to Humphrey. And we've got gravel, and then we've got a paver condition that could be certainly plant material between the pavers. So that's a softer approach of hardscape to the garage. But then the driveway to the north is existing to those two properties. And I think that's gravel. So it's a softer type of hardscape, if you will, in terms of a landscape feel. But there's a lot of auto circulation approaching the front of the property, but we're trying to accentuate the camphor trees on the street and accentuate the street tree feel and pull the cottage landscaping out towards and around them to soften this whole edge of pavement right there in front of us on Humphrey Road. So does that help you visualize kind of what it looks like? I think that first picture that shows the garage, maybe it's the first sheet, Danny, and shows how far back the house is and just how much landscape and garden there is before there's any kind of large home or residential feel is a good feeling of what this property
Yeah,
Talking about the photos?
I think that the rendering he's saying on the first, or is that the site photo, Sam, or the rendering?
Well, gentlemen, it's a new two-story house. We are going to make a site visit.
Sure.
We will pick this up then. I just want to
I
make
think
sure.
that's probably a good idea.
I do think there's an opportunity to reduce the existing gravel parking area that we're expanding and create more of a buffer of landscape on the property line, because we don't
John,
need.
You need to take over. They don't have a planner yet. They don't have, they haven't applied for their application yet. So all of this is just a lot of energy that we're spending on something that actually right now isn't quite there yet, in my opinion.
Okay, so next week. Public comment, please. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 2, 43 Humphrey Road, please? Anybody? Okay.
John, I don't have anybody's hands up. I don't see anybody's hands up.
Thank you. Okay, so comments. We are going to do a site visit. So, Tip.
Yeah, as you know, I definitely I like to see the site because based on the drawings, there seem to be some concerns as we raise it about the paving area and the driveway and the garage and things like that. And so let's do a story pose, and then I think we can have a better vision for the whole project. Thank you. But overall, you know what, even though the house is 7 feet higher, the front portion is lower. I just hope the back portion doesn't impose on the back residents. And that's only something we can see on site. Thank you.
Don.
Thank you. Until the minor mod issue is solved, it's really difficult to look at the site plan and see what it would or would not end up being. I think the way he stacked the house is good. I think the cottagey feeling of the entire property, which is very difficult to assess looking at the drawings that we have, and the site visit is very important. Thank you.
Elida.
I think it's a charming design. I hope it comes through, and I'll be interested to see the story poles as well.
Bill.
Yeah, I think the house is, it's a beautiful house. And the site certainly constraints, you've got a lot of trees, existing trees you're trying to work around, which makes it tough. You're going to have to lose a tree to try and come in off that side access. And I would certainly encourage you to find out if you have access to come in from that side driveway at all at this point, either driveway, if that's even a possibility. So I'd find that out first. Generally I like, the style of the home. I would be a little concerned about the lighting, certainly ceiling cans in that kitchen area and how it affects the neighbors. It's a beautiful window, but it's awfully close. And I would certainly like to see a little more buffer screen planting between you and the neighbors and not have the structures pushed up to fences where you might not be able to have planting in them. That's all. I look forward to story polls and site visit.
I'm sorry, Bill. Claire?
I have no further comments. I think before I have any other comments, I want to have the site visit.
David?
Yeah, I too, I really need to visit the site and see the story poles to make any firm comments, but I do really like the feel and the way the applicants trying to maintain a cottage feel and in the neighborhood compatibility, given the fact they have to raise the house 4.5 feet. So from that perspective, I think what I see here is pretty successful. But it's all about the privacy and the impacts to the neighbors, which we'll see. I also am more positive about this site plan and the location of the garage and the parking within the front yard setback, because what that allows is a really nice landscape space, as they've said. And I like the way the two existing trees frame that space. To me, if you combine the parking with the garage to get rid of a driveway, it potentially could be detrimental. But again, I want to see all this at the site to make sure I understand the constraints, but I like the feel and the direction it's headed.
Okay, I don't want to add anything right now until we get into this discussion. Story poles. Clearly there is a cross gable up on the second floor. We should have both that both of those, no, the next one down. Yeah, 8. I think we should have both the vertical and the horizontal shown here on the story pole. My question is on the next slide up, David. I think that gable coming, I'm wondering if we should get these ridges as well. And the reason I say that is, yes, single story, but yes, Danny's not being too shy about plate heights, and he's got 4.5 feet. So this building, I think, is going to be significantly taller than any building in the area. Now, I don't know that. I haven't driven by this area yet, but part of the reason we do site visits and story polls is not only for our edification, but for the neighbors' edification as well. Do other people agree that we should have the quote unquote lower gables shown?
Yes, I agree.
Yes, I agree because
yeah.
we got 7 feet to deal with.
Yeah, okay, now can we go to any of the site plans that, I don't care which one it is, please. When you guys do this, I'm not looking for site polls, but I would like a very good, strong, maybe it's that powder that they use for football fields or stakes or something. Can you show us what's hardscape and what's planted area across the front? Is that
Sure.
something that you can do? And Sam, if you want to wiggle and waggle some of those areas because it's not a required parking or you can get in and out, please do that. But as my
We can
question,
pinch those down. Yep, John.
yeah, just can you show us at the end of the day, quote unquote, how hardscaped is this front elevation? Okay.
Yep.
And I think that will tell us a lot when we're there. Okay, is there any other questions or comments before we go on?
No.
Thank you very much, Danny and Sam. Very nice design. I think it's tough. I'm not so sure the site plan will survive, but we will see. I think the building's very pretty though. Okay, item number 3.
Thank you all.
What? Anybody?
Will they be returning for further conceptual?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And obviously after a planner, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, item
Thank
number
you.
3, 985 Romero Canyon Road. Liz, are you here or somebody
Hi.
else?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so you're back.
Yes, I waited through the whole thing.
There you go. Okay, so the floor is yours and let's go.
Okay, so this project is for a new detached garage on a property off of Romero Canyon Road. The property is about a little over 2 acres and it has an existing main house as well as a guest house and pool. Let's go to, oh yeah, and then here you're looking at the FAR for the site, which you can see we're 55%, so we're pretty low. If you go to the photos show there's an existing gravel driveway that kind of leads down to the area where the proposed garage is. Let's see. You can't really see it. The aerial is kind of an older aerial that I just got from Google Earth, but if you look kind of to the, let's see. Yeah. But go ahead and go down to that second row of photos. It's the existing gravel driveway that heads down to the area of the garage. You can see on both sides, there's pretty heavy planting there. So there's a nice buffer along that edge between the neighbor's property and the location of this garage. This is kind of heading down the driveway. And then if you go to the lower one, you'll see there's a flat area kind of down at the bottom there. So this is that large flat area. And the photo on the right there is actually looking towards the neighbor's property. So you can barely make out their house in the distance there, behind all those trees. So let's go to the next sheet. It's just the survey. The next sheet. This is the proposed site plan showing that existing driveway coming down to the garage area. And the reason why originally we had more plans here with creating a motor court, but we kind of toned down the design to interrupt the existing hillside a little bit less and kind of just keep the garage in the flat area and the existing driveway coming down. The garage is kind of pushed a little bit closer to the front of where the flat area starts at the bottom there. And the reason why is because we were trying to locate a future ADU kind of above it and didn't want it necessarily interrupting the views from the ADU. So let's go to the next sheet, which is just a little bit larger view of the same plan. And then also just kind of a little section down at the bottom showing it does embed slightly into the hillside. And I think the project description with the quantities of grading didn't get updated on the agenda. So I just wanted to make note that we're about 53 cubic yards of cut here for the structure. And then that's the next sheet is just showing the slopes of the site and the areas that we can place structures within the 20% slope. So then the next sheet, it's kind of a small little garage here, 475 square feet, and just built a little bit into the hillside in the back. So we have a little retaining wall with a door coming out on the backside for access. And the last sheet are the elevations. So it has a flat roof. The owner wants to have a planted green roof here, which is why the structure is a little bit taller than it normally would be. But we're going to have plants on the top of the roof, which was originally intended to kind of connect to the landscape. But this is a revised version of that plan to make it more simple. And the materials are stucco with a stone cornice on the top with some wood garage doors. And that's concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Questions, David? David?
You're
Are you
muted.
mute?
Sorry, I was muted. What's the purpose of the green roof? Is it visible from somewhere on the property?
It is actually visible. There's a lawn above that kind of overlooks this portion of the site. So you can see that area. The original purpose of the green roof was that it was, like I said, it was kind of connected to a larger flat area and kind of was integrated a little bit better, but we weren't able to do the grading required to make that happen. And so the green roof is kind of a leftover from the previous design.
Okay, and then is there existing screening between the proposed garage and the adjacent neighbor?
Yeah, so you can see it better in the photos. The survey that we have is kind of an older survey. So if you go back to the I think it's the second sheet on this PDF, you can see it pretty well on the bottom right. If you zoom in and you even kind of, if you look on the right-hand side, you can barely spot the neighbor's house beyond those trees.
And where is the proposed garage relative to this photo?
It's actually closer to the left side. So where that little citrus tree is, kind of behind that area.
Okay, thank you.
Claire?
Is this a new driveway that's being put in to access this new garage?
It's an existing gravel driveway.
Is an existing gravel driveway. So is this going to stay a gravel driveway, or you're going to have to blacktop it and do all of that?
I would like it to stay a gravel driveway. I still have to meet with the fire department to discuss if they need, but the slope is actually pretty gradual. So it's not a steeply sloped driveway headed down to that area. You can walk it pretty easily without too much effort.
Okay, that's it.
Don?
I have no further questions. I can't think of any. It's pretty well described. Thank you.
Yep.
No question. Thank you.
Dave? Bill?
Did you look at your turnout there? Let's go back to that page 5, Dave, real quick. Or one of those. Yeah, there you go. Is that to do your turnout? Are you gonna, the backup distance, which looks like it might be a little tight, are you gonna have to retain against that downhill slope side, or is that still flat?
Yeah, there is some retaining against the slope. And I'm
talking about on the down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see.
downhill side.
Actually, I tried to keep it to before it starts dropping off there, but I was thinking that I might push the garage a little bit further back to utilize some more of that flat area to maneuver cars a little bit more easily out of there, because I do think it is a little tight.
Yeah, it looks like it might be
Mhm.
tough to certainly make it in 2 points, if that even. So, okay, that was all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I do have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Lisa, Liz, you referred to, you haven't met with the fire department yet. Is that accurate?
No, yeah, I need to meet with the fire department to discuss this.
Okay. Well, I would strongly you do that as soon as possible, because I just looked at the width of the driveway, and the fire department they're going to have something to say, and I think you may wind up with like a 16-foot driveway instead of what you've got.
Mhm. Yeah, and I should actually go out there and measure it, because it may be wider than what's, like I was saying, the survey is kind of an older survey, so.
Really need to meet with before.
Yeah.
Before
Yes.
you back to us.
So we are in questions.
Yeah.
Elida, please.
No questions.
And I do have a question. In the event that the fire department asks for a hard surface driveway that is wider than this and a turnaround, have you considered moving the garage closer to the ADU so that it would be a single structure? Please.
Yes, I have considered that. They really wanted the ADU to be higher up on the slope, which is why
You can't
it's,
talk too much about it, but I'm talking about the garage, just shifting
Yeah.
it. Had you
Mhm.
considered shifting it, please?
yeah, I think we would consider shifting the garage maybe to the west, and not necessarily, we can't really move it any closer to the ADU in the north direction, but we can move it a little bit closer in the westerly direction.
Thank you. Public comment. Is there anybody attending this meeting that would like to address the board on item 3, 985 Romero Canyon Road?
John, I didn't receive any letters and I don't see anybody's hands up. Thank you.
Excellent. So now comments, please. Same order. David? David?
John, I was last time, but I'll go ahead. Where do I want to start? I think I would like you to document the existing screening that's going to be preserved, so we understand that on your site plan. I would want you to, I agree that with Bill that the turnaround is tight, and that to explore that and see if you can shift it. I don't see the value in having the green roof on this project. I'd prefer to see it be a lower scale structure and not have you watering your roof. So I need to be convinced that that's a value. And I think that's my comments for now.
Claire?
My comment would be to meet with the fire department and figure out what the fire department's going to want and need here.
Don?
Thank you. I certainly agree with Claire that I think this needs a little more concern from the fire department, and it's hard for me to believe that it won't change considerably with that. Thank you.
Yep.
I agree with Dave's comments, and I don't have any further comment to add. Thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, I agree with the other board members. Certainly fire department access is going to be important. And, you know, maybe the thought about, you know, you talked about a green roof. If the garage rotated 90 and it actually tucked into the hill and the green grasses and planting rolled on top of it, that would maybe make more sense for the green roof. Otherwise, I think I'd probably be on board with Dave. It might actually allow you to be able to get in and out of the doors easier too, if that garage is more subterranean into the hillside as an option. I know it's more expensive, but anyway, I'd look at.
Yeah, we did want to do that, and that was the idea, but we were limited in terms of the location because of the slope of the existing hill. We weren't allowed to go into hills that were more than 20%, so we got stuck there because that was the initial idea, was to have the access along the other side to tuck it further into the landscape, but just wasn't able to do it with the planning constraints.
Well, work out your backup and fire. That's my comments. Thank you.
Elida, please.
I have nothing to add to the other comments. I agree with the other comments.
I agree. I think that if you could get fire department, the world will change. So we'll see you back. So back for conceptual next time. I think there will be some important changes at that before we go on.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Good luck with that. Item number 4, Sam, are you here? 658 Lilac Drive. We've seen it several times, including a site visit. Sam, are you here?
I am, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. The floor is yours.
John, do you want to read the comments?
Oh, I guess not quite yet. Favorable comments on architectural style. Several members expressed concerns regarding the FAR, provide FAR study, restudy driveway and options to eliminate one entrance. Sam, now it's yours. Thank you.
So I wanted to mention again how we are in a catch-22 on this project, in that we can't get preliminary until we do our flood study. And once we get our flood study, we are, if we change anything after we do the flood study, then we have to do the flood study over again. Like if we change planting in the landscape, if we change our guard railings and things, little tiny itty bitty things, or well, make it so that we have to redo the entire flood study. So what we're hoping is not only that we'd be able to get our conceptual, but that we be able to, you would be able to look at it as preliminary and get preliminary comments now, so that what we take to the flood study is won't change again. So that was a request. So to begin with the presentation, the floor area ratio is there on the cover sheet. The house itself is at 103%, and then the house plus ADU, it would puts it to 105. So that was that item, and I believe we've had to raise, if we go to the, maybe to the what is that, 4, layout 4. We had to raise, I believe, another foot since the last time that you saw it, our floor level. And if you go to the elevations.
Why don't you deal with the driveway?
Okay, then jump back out to the, yeah, that one there. So we did go ahead and remove the second driveway. So we have the approach in the south west corner, and you pass the front entry, and then you go into the motor court in the rear. I don't know why there's so many yellow things on this plan, but we are blocking in for a ADU there in the south of the lot, and I think that's all that's changed since the last time you saw it. Elevations, if you jump to elevations, there's not a whole lot of change to them. We clipped the roofs. I think before there were more roofs that had a peak, a sharp peak, and we took those off because of the steep pitch. We felt like they were a little bit too sharp. And landscaping, that one there. We removed landscaping from the rear yard. We just left the oak trees alone. And in the front yard, we have a lot of the golf ball shrubs in the driveway area, intermixed with olives. We have 2 replacement oaks on the north at the street, and then 2 replacement oaks in the rear in the oak forest back there. And screening on the road with a hedge. And that's pretty much it.
Do you have site lighting on
I
proposed?
do. I do. It's 1 sheet up from the one we're on. So where we can, we're using a gas. You know, I believe that this hasn't been updated, this sheet. If we could go to the elevations, I think the planner noted that that wasn't a shrouded bulb. Yeah, if we zoom in there. So it's still a modern kind of style to go with a modernized version of French, but it's a recessed bulb that's shrouded and then downcast.
And can we go back to that sheet beforehand and look at type C lighting and type D lighting, please?
Up to there, Dave. There you go.
That's it. So low voltage footpath lighting.
But C is pointing up according to your drawings, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a low voltage uplight under a few of our trees.
And D?
D is a low voltage pendant light. That's we have 3 of them hanging in the pergola, lighting down at the paving. Yeah, right there, exactly.
Okay, are you done with your presentation, please?
Yes.
Okay, so.
John,
yes.
This is Mike Viatoni. I just wanted to mention one thing. On the description of the project, it says there's 500 cubic yards of cut, but there's only 50 cubic yards of cut.
Mike Viatoni, sorry, I forgot to introduce the civil engineer, Mike Viatoni. So, yeah.
Is that a correction that needs to be made on the description? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, please. I just want to make sure you know the true numbers.
And 2,000 fill, Mike?
That's correct.
And may I correctly or incorrectly assume that has to do with raising the house for flood?
You are absolutely correct. We have to raise everything up so high.
Okay. Anything else, please? Before we start asking questions.
Mike, did you want to add anything to, or just be available for?
No, that was it. I just wanted to make sure that was in the record correctly.
Okay, let us start with Bill, please.
Yeah, while we're on this plan here, could you zoom into the fixture dots there, the legend, Dave? Yeah, there you go. And your type D, looks like you have those are those pendants that are hanging from trees, but it doesn't look like you have many trees in that area to hang them from. Am I missing, are those mislabeled? See the gold? The gold?
Yeah, that it appears that the type E has been mixed with.
So the green and the gold should be swapped. Is that what I'm seeing?
I believe that's it. The gold being, or the green being.
Type D is that hanging pendant.
Yeah, the type D is definitely over by the outdoor fireplace, and the
which you show type E, which is the path light. So I think your D and your E are flopped.
You're right. Yeah, E is the one in the driveway. Yep.
That makes more sense. And we're going to ignore these two light fixtures that you're showing here on the C1 sheet.
Bring them in.
Yeah. Last question. If you go to the elevations there, Dave, real quick, and this, I may have missed a couple of meetings in between. I actually go down right there, layout 1. Yeah. I see that, you're exceeding the maximum height. Of course, you're doing a French mansard roof. Could you clip that entry roof element down to work with the elevation requirement? Or is it more of an aesthetic you're trying to push up against to say, hey, we want this roof over the entry to be taller than everybody else? Or what's your think on that?
Yeah, I was definitely hoping to kind of enunciate the entry as the focal point by it being the dominant element. That being said, it could certainly be brought down. I mean, obviously it could be brought down all the way if that's what your choice was, but it could be brought down a few feet and still be the dominant element of the elevation.
Okay, thank you. That was all I had.
Lida?
I'm not familiar enough about this project to have any questions at this time.
Tip?
I have no questions. Thank you.
David?
Yeah, on this sheet, you're showing a shielded exterior light fixture, but on this sheet, you're showing something different. What?
Yeah, this was the first rendition, and then our planner pointed out that it had to have a shielded bulb, which slipped my mind. So we swapped it out, and either this is an old plot or this sheet never got updated with the new fixture.
Okay, thanks.
Don?
Thank you. Sam, had you considered reducing the roof pitch in lieu of chopping off the main portion, the ridge portion?
Have not considered that. There's nothing that would prevent that as far as like utilization of the attic space or anything. We could certainly look at that.
Just a question. Thank you.
Claire?
Can we go back to the original site plan that begins at the beginning? I'm kind of curious about, my question is, what is the width of this driveway? It looks very wide. So what is the width of the driveway?
It is.
The driveway is 14 feet wide, and then we have to have 2-foot shoulders on each side to meet the fire department requirements. But then it widens out.
Well, like right and say where the front door is, how wide is it there?
At the front door, it's about 21 feet wide.
21, and that's because of the fire department is requiring that width?
No, the fire department doesn't require that width.
We were anticipating that if someone was stopped there, that to try to get past them to get back to the parking garage area, the motor court area, that additional width would be needed.
Okay, well, we're in questions, is that right? Yeah.
That's
yes.
correct, Claire.
My other question is going back to the lighting plan. You were saying that on the picture of that you have some what was uplighting. So that fixture is an uplift. It's lighting something up. Well, that we don't allow uplighting.
That's a comment.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. So you're proposing this fixture for some uplighting.
Yeah, up against the house, so it's shining into the house is, I believe, the only, yeah, there's two of them on the west, and they're shining at the house, at the tree, lighting the canopy of the tree in the house.
Okay, well, that's the end of my questions, John.
Okay, so this is as good a plan as any. Sam or Mike, you did respond to our request to eliminate a driveway, but what you've done with this particular configuration is have a road similar to Jameson Lane on your property next to the highway, which is the road on, I guess it's Lilac. So we have a lot of hardscape in here. I think it's less than we had before. Did you study an alternate entrance location that would enable you to minimize the amount of paving on what I am calling Jameson Lane, please?
So we wanted to, there's a lot going on north of where the driveway is now shown as far as oak trees, power poles, and the only option would be to have it very close to the intersection with Alixos. And that's the vision around the corner is much worse as you get up closer to Alisos for pulling out of the driveway. And that was the rationale.
Okay, but you have right pretty much in front of the front door, there's a dashed line that says existing driveway apron. Did you consider coming in there and being able to pull to the right for guest parking and then turn to the left to get up to your garage? And therefore eliminate all of that from basically the front door down to the southern property line. Did you consider that? That's the question.
I think that that is still very close to the oak tree, and that would create an opening in the public driveway, public road, straight into the front of the house, so there's a lack of privacy by opening it up in that area. And I don't believe there's enough room to turn and go back to the south from the public road. There's not enough room to make that turn for guest parking on the south side.
Okay, thank you very much. Public comment. Is there anybody attending this Zoom meeting that would like to address the board on item number 4658 Lilac Drive, please?
John, I didn't receive any letters and nobody has their hands up. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Sharon. Okay, comments, Bill. And so with Sam's request, is he at a point where we can bless this, even though it's on for concept, so we can go and get his flood control stuff? Or do we believe that this still needs more work? So please keep that in mind during your comments. Bill.
Yeah, so I think the house is fine. In terms of the height, let's see what everyone else feels about the height of the roof there, whether or not it needs to be clipped or not. I'm okay with it. Maybe it comes down an extra foot. I don't know if that's really going to make any difference, frankly, but so I'm okay with that. It looks like it's challenging to get the driveway with the other features and the proximity to the corner, that it might be tough to move that over, but I would try to encourage whatever you could do to eliminate as much paving in the front there. Maybe you don't need as much width there at the front door as you show. Maybe it doesn't need to go as long as it does at 21 feet. Maybe you have enough for 3 cars to pull, and that's enough, not like 5 or 6 or whatever the length ends up being. So that's that. Night sky fixture that you show that is new is good. The gas lamp won't work. The lighting, if your schedule shows the way it does, maybe Dave, you could go to that real quick down on that lighting plan. I would say, less is more. Here the path lights are fine. They're low voltage and they're pointing down. The up lights, as Claire is leading you to, is not good, washing on the light colored wall of the building that kind of reflects light everywhere in the neighborhood. And so I don't think we would encourage that. So any lights that you have pointing down are better and more encouraged. And I think that is all I have to add. Thank you.
Okay, Elida, are you still out?
Yeah, I'm here. No comment.
Okay, very good. Tip?
I definitely think, one driveway is definitely better than 2 driveways, but we still a lot of paving, especially right in front of the house. So I'm not sure what can you do to reduce that, especially to run all the way to the house to get to the garage. It seemed like a very not very efficient way of using the site. About the height, well, it's a little tall, but I think I probably can live with that. I think that might make the house a little more unique, interesting. So I think I can support the height at the front. Thank you.
David.
I don't have anything to add to Bill and Tip's comments. They covered my thoughts. The one thing I would say is I do like the roof height, the way it's proposed, and the roof pitch. I think it's a nice proportionally and it works. And I don't think that a little bit of extra height on that one element is impactful. I think it's good design, so I can support that.
David? Oh, excuse me, Don.
Thank you. I do feel there's too much paving on the site and don't know why in front of the front door it's as wide as it is. If it's for guest parking, I think there is a better solution. Given the width of Lilac and the width of this is a good comparison. I still am concerned about the somewhat arbitrary roof heights and the difference in the forming of the top and the way they are cut off and so forth. But I certainly understand some of the problems and look forward to seeing this next time.
Blair, comments?
Well, for me, I'm not going to approve this project at any stage unless something is done about the driveway. I think this is, I have no problem with the house. I have no problem with the height of the house, given that it's had to be boosted for flood control. So the house is not a problem for me. The site planning is a major problem for me. And so I think that the applicant has to go back and figure out how to get a driveway in there that isn't like a road across the whole front of the property. And that's what I would be looking for coming back. And then also, as I pointed out earlier, in Montecito, we don't allow uplighting of any kind. So and given the kind of what we went through with with the other member, I think it was, I don't know who it was saying, that you need to redo your lighting plan so it actually reads correctly. The fixtures and the lighting plan actually should match up, because it was difficult to figure out what was going on with your lighting plan. So for me, those are the two comments. I mean, you got to figure out how to do this driveway, because I won't be approving this project with this driveway as proposed. So.
Yeah, obviously from my question, I am concerned about the driveway. I understand getting close to the corner. It is a challenge, but I don't believe this is the solution. What I am hearing, please tell me if I am wrong. Everybody on the board is okay with the architecture. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Sam, you've got that. So I think you're down to site planning. And I think it's not just a little tweak. I think as much as you rework the FAR and reduce some things to get there, I think you got to grab onto the site plan. Now, I don't know any other way with this project except to bring it back to the full board. I was trying to figure out if Claire and I could look at it, but I think that's cheating you and cheating the board. So I think you've got to come back to the full board with the site plan revision. So,
well,
okay.
And by the way, because he's asking for preliminary, actually, I think we could give it preliminary, and then have him come back so that he can do his whatever.
But he's saying that if he makes any change, he's got to go back and redo the flood stuff. So he needs something that's basically basis for working drawings. No changes, zip, nada, nothing, right?
Yeah.
Sam, we're going to see you again. Good luck. Mike, good luck.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. What is it returning for?
Concept. Are you permitted to get preliminary before you get the flood? Sam?
Say that again. What?
John, we definitely have to get that. Yeah.
No. Are you legally permitted to get a preliminary approval prior to flood signing off on it?
No.
So back for concept.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, 1355 Danielson.
Yes.
I don't know how many times we've seen this, but Paul, you're up. Architecture is acceptable.
Yes.
Provide additional detail on landscape and hardscape, particularly at the interface of Danielson Road and the parking area. MBAR requested that the applicant work with the planner to review the ordinance parking requirements regarding location. The Montecito Fire Protection District needs to review and comment. Just before you get going, Paul, and we are on for both preliminary and final today. Paul.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. I was confused about one of those comments because I got the stamped Montecito Fire Department stamped and signed, seal on this project earlier this year. I'm not sure why it says that they need to review, because they have reviewed and those drawings have been sent to our planner and uploaded for building review.
Paul, please move forward.
Okay, moving forward, architecturally, the only thing I want to say to the committee, because most of the new work is landscape, is that the premise of this project has changed. We were doing an addition to a 2-story duplex. Sorry? We were doing.
Sharon, can you turn your mic off, please?
It's not me, John.
Okay, somebody's got their mic on. Please turn it off if you've got any background noise. Thank you.
We were doing a 2-story addition to a 2-story duplex, but the planning department noticed 2 months ago that we couldn't do that because this site was R2 when the house was built. It has since been rezoned as R1. So they created a workaround for us, which was we are converting the second floor to an ADU, and then we're having a 1-bedroom addition on the first floor, which is a single-family residence, and then a 1-bedroom addition to the second floor, which is an ADU. Other than that, the architecture of the building is the same. The addition for the second floor had to be a little smaller because the new ADU can only be, it's 50% the size of the existing residence. You guys know the codes, okay? But it's the same bedroom suites being added to each floor and more or less the same elevations architecturally and whatnot. So that's been a change since the last time we presented with this committee. If you look at the elevation, same front elevation there, similar side views, the stairs going up to the second floor deck, okay? I don't have anything else to say about the architecture. There haven't been changes. Do you have questions or should we move on to landscape?
Let's go to the site plan, please.
Okay, now there's an issue with my landscape architect called me. He was not able to get a link to log in.
I'm here now, Paul.
Oh, good. You got your link? Great.
Yes, I got it at the end. Thank you.
Go for it. Take over. Thank you, sir.
Hello. So this is Guillermo from Blue Studio. I'm going to start with the existing conditions. So when we look at image number 1, it's right at the entry of the parking. So that's looking down Danielson. And image number 2 is looking up north toward the north side on Danielson. So we can see there are palm trees on the left side, and then on the image number 2, it's right next to seaside property. There's a lot of vegetation screening that property, and we're trying to take some clue out of that to bring into our property, which is right adjacent to it. Image number 3 is the existing condition that's looking into the parking area. There are some old cypress trees, some very old Myoporon hedges, as you can see right behind the mailbox, and an oak tree right next to the little bicycle, kid's bicycle that is there. It's not for decoration. And then on image number 4, that's the interior code. So that's looking at the cottage as existing conditions, and it's all ferns and camellias, and there's some jacaranda trees, and the hedges are all Myoporon hedges. 5 and 6 is the same, but looking out toward the parking lot. So on 5, you can see the existing fence, and 6 is just going around the existing stairs to the entry to the floor unit, which is number 7 and 8. And then image number 9, 10, and 11 is the backyard. We're not gonna do anything in the backyard. That's gonna be all remain as is. But just wanted to point out there are some path lights that we're going to replace, system path lighting, and we're gonna keep the same gravel with stepping stones paving that is there. On the site plan, the area that we're gonna be landscaping is inside the blue dash line, and the system fence is gonna be moved toward the house because we have to provide more buffer with the parking. It's right now on the setback, so we have to move it down. And then we're going to take out the hedges right next to the Pittosporum hedges right next to the oak tree and replace that. And also the hedges right next to the existing fence that's going to have to be removed to provide more space for the parking. So if we can move to the next, to the hardscape on the next page. So along the entry to the parking area, we are going to, we submitted an application for a right-of-way permit to add a stone curb along the front and replanted that area. We also adding a stone banding separating the asphalt road into the gravel pave. And we adding a couple of planters on the right side of the property to screen the old the trash enclosure. We're putting a new trash enclosure in the same location. And before you used to be able to see right into it. So now we're adding a couple of planters on that side. We are moving down the existing fence, as you can see by the crosshatch, down to allow for the correct clearance for the parking, and adding a couple of a new wood fence matching the existing one. And then we're adding a couple of new gable entrance, and you can see it to the right. If you scroll to the right a little bit, we can see them. So it will be all wood to match the fence style. And then we replacing the lighting. So it's all path lighting. So we have about 6 to 7 existing path light. We're adding 9, and we're adding a pendant light underneath the new gable entrance on each side. So all the lights are LED 27K, low voltage. And the reason why we have 2 entrances now is because the one on the left, it goes to the lower unit, and the one on the right goes to the upper new unit. So if we can zoom into that space a little bit.
I'm sorry.
If we can zoom into the side, into the floor plan and the courtyard, correct. Thank you. We can just go, so we have a new entrance to the stairs, and then we're keeping an entry core garden. We're just adding some light as needed for circulation. And the number 1 is the existing fence. There is a fence that blocks that. It gets moved from its current location to match the new corner of the building there. And that's it. So we're providing a little separation between the 2 entrances with planting. So if we can move to the next page, that's the cut sheets for the lighting. I could say they both low voltage 27K, all shielded lighting. We can go to the irrigation plan, which is the next page. We are using all drip irrigation everywhere, including the calculations. We're meeting all the water budget calculations requirement. In the backyard, we're keeping all the existing irrigation and planting areas. And in the front, again, we're adding a drip irrigation line, and that includes on the right-of-way planter. If we can go to the next page, is the details. And the next one will be the planting plan. So if we can zoom into the planting plan, on the right-of-way planting, we're having low planting to conform with view triangles. We adding, we're removing those pittosporum hedges and replacing with tupidanthus and Berto Paradise. We're trying to bring the adjacent property look into this, so it just become a coherent corner, and it sort of matches the neighborhood, the adjacent neighborhood. On the right side, we're adding those new planters underneath the existing cypress trees, and adding giant Berto Paradise along the edge to provide a screening and have it more informal. Right now, it's this all hedges, and they just kind of have gone through their life cycle. As you go in through the gables, we adding the ficus hedges. That's what is there now. We are putting new ones on the new location to provide some privacy to the entry garden and to separate the lower unit entrance with the upper unit entrance. And then, as you can see, the planting is very simple. We're adding some ferns back underneath the stairs, and we're keeping the gravel and stone steps along to go up to the upper unit and the lower unit, and adding some vines on the corner of the property, 2 purple vine in the corner, and bringing some of the camellias that we had before to maintain that old cottage look on the property. And with that, I would like to complete my presentation.
Thank you. Questions? Elida, please.
Guillermo, are you planning on changing out those Myoporum hedges, or are they good enough condition that they serve the purpose as a screen?
We're taking the Myoporum on the front, on the right-of-way planter, because that's in the property. The other ones along the right side, they're on the property next door.
Ah.
So we can't do anything about that. So what we're gonna do is just plant in front inner property.
Are you're changing them out?
The ones along the right side, no, because they're on the property, on the adjacent property. That's not part of our.
Oh, but the other side.
On the other side, there is just a fence and a driveway. There is no real hedges. The only hedges that we're taking out are the ones on the right-of-way planted right on the front. And you can see right here where right there.
Gotcha. Also, the hydro plan, what is that you're going to be spraying?
The hydro plant.
You had a notation about a hydro.
Can you zoom out? We don't have any hydro seeding here. It's
No,
out.
it wasn't seeding, it was hydro.
Hydro
that's why I was
zone?
asking.
Oh, we have the hydro zones, but that's had to do with something else. We're not seeding anything. We have ground cover, which is the uranium.
Right.
And everything else is container planting.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
You are.
Claire, questions?
I don't have any questions.
Don?
I had no questions.
Bill?
Is there, can you zoom into this drawing here on the left side of that entry court drive, between, yeah, right in there. Is there any landscaping or any proposed landscaping between your fence and the existing driveway that leads to the back property there?
Yes, there's a full hedge. You can see it on the photos.
Is there? It's not showing on this though.
Yeah, Guillermo is showing like his landscaping on this plan, but Guillermo, you see on the left side of our property where you have that wood fence, right?
Correct. There's some vines growing there, but that's the access to the.
Yeah.
That's outside your property, basically. It's an easement to the.
You can see the existing hedge, vines, whatever it is, on the MBAR photos that we have for this project, if you want to glance at it.
Okay.
Yeah, that is green on the driveway side.
Okay, I
don't know if it shows on Guillermo's photos, but it's on our architectural MBAR photos.
That edge there. Yeah, not seeing
Correct. And then there is a established hedge between the driveway and the property to the left.
Yeah, that's the hedge.
I'm talking about between your gravel and the road access. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a fence there, and then there is some hedges planted on that fence on the outside part.
Okay.
The photo that shows this is in the box.com if you want to see the official MBAR photos.
Okay.
It's not on this thing.
That's all right.
Yeah, MBAR photos if you want to see it. Go down.
Yeah, see here, you can see here, there's
There
a
it
hedge.
is. Yeah. So that's the neighbor, and then there's another one over.
Very good. All right. That's
Which one? This one here?
That's the big one between
That's
the
the
two
hedge
lots.
that they're talking about.
Yeah, then if you go further, let's go down a bit. Twee bit. Let's go to the next page. Okay, whoa. Yeah. So
the
we're
upper
right
photo.
on the top. Yeah.
Upper photo.
That's looks like it's a box hedge, Guillermo, or is that a vine growing over the wood fence?
That's one. Okay, that's fine.
I can't tell. Yeah, that's what we got there. It runs the full length of the driveway. It's
So
green.
it stops. Are you still having access then between your driveway in this easement, or you?
Yes, there's access to the pea gravel parking area in the front, both from Danielson Road and also from the first 20 feet or so of the shared driveway. There's a shared access too, which you can see on Guillermo's plan.
So let's see.
Yeah, so if you look, blow up this plan there, there's a line which is got the boxes on it. That's the fence. And there's about 20 feet there. Yeah, right from that thing right to there. We do have access to access our gravel from the side driveway as well as from the front on Danielson Road.
You can still get around that island there.
Yeah, it kind of helps for backing out and pulling out onto the street.
Yeah, I was a little.
Two ways of coming out.
Whether that worked. Okay, last question, looking for details of window and door and stair rail, guardrail details. Do you have those? I didn't see them.
I have on elevation.
But
Details.
No details, yeah.
Yeah.
How you're mounting the pickets on the stairs and the railing.
Yes, he shows it in the structural drawing, which are obviously not part of MBAR, but also our railing copies the existing railing. Our eaves, our new eaves copy the existing eaves.
The question is, do you have them on the plans? I think the answer is no, I don't.
I have on the elevations, they're drawn accurately.
Yeah.
Elevations 2.0, 2.1,
We'd need to see
and 2.2.
John, they don't have the details.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that was all I had. Thank you.
David.
No questions.
Tip.
No questions.
And I have no questions. Public comments. Is there anybody attending this meeting that would like to address item number 5, 1355 Danielson Road?
John, I don't have any letters or any hands up.
Okay, and I'm a little bit out of order here. If anybody is here for item number 7, 669 Picacho, that item will not be heard today. Okay,
thank you, John.
Back to comments. It is on for preliminary and final today. Elida, please.
No comment.
So what does that mean? Yes, you're good for preliminary and final?
I'm just not that familiar again with this project to weigh in, John.
If you were required to vote, which you are, would you vote abstain? Would you vote for, or would you vote against, please?
I'd vote for.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Claire?
Yes, I think this project is ready to be approved. And given the requirements that we have at final for the details to be part of the final plan, I would make a motion. I'm proposing that we give it preliminary today and they return for final on consent with a complete set of details.
For the sake of brevity, does anyone else have anything else to say, or do we all support Claire's point, please?
I agree with Claire.
I agree with Claire.
I agree.
I agree.
God, thank God somebody agrees with me.
Cherish it, Claire. Okay, so is that a motion, Claire?
Yes, that was a motion.
Okay, so it is for preliminary approval with the applicant to return on consent with the finished architectural details. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
John, can I ask a question, clarification?
Yeah.
When we first started this review, there was that yellow highlighted list of comments from the last review. Are those comments now dead file? Do we need to look at those, or that's a closed issue?
You're done with that. Only thing you need to do is to come back with finished architectural details.
1.5" scale, enlarged architectural eaves, door and window, sills, etc., etc.
You got it.
Otherwise, everything else on that list is all done.
You got it.
Thank you
Everybody
very much.
ready? Okay, all those in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Happy Fiesta, members of the applicant team. Okay,
And I
item
just,
number.
John, may I confirm that Elida has abstained from the vote?
No, she said that she was going to vote for it. Elida, what did you
I
do?
apologize.
I said yes, I voted for it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you.
I had to push her a little bit, but she did what she needed to do. So that's all we can ask. Item number 6, 690 Picacho Lane. Brian or others, are you here, please? We are on for preliminary.
Indeed, John, we have myself, Brian Banks, agent for the owner. We have Patty Baker for architecture. We have Kareth Whitchurch and Kate Dole for landscape. And we have Rebecca Fox from Ann Kale's office for lighting. And we are ready when you are.
John, why are we here for preliminary?
Because that's what the agenda says.
Well, no, it says the agenda says conceptual, it's on for conceptual review.
Item number 6.
Yeah.
Preliminary.
Preliminary, so.
Claire, item number 6.
Item
690 Picacho Lane.
Yes, it says conceptual review, request by Brian Banks for conceptual review.
Claire, I apologize. I had updated the project. So you went in the first day.
So you mean I
And
have a different agenda then?
I apologize, yes.
You haven't.
Okay, sorry, then.
You have an
No, I'm
earlier
sorry.
agenda.
Earlier.
It's not your fault.
Better.
Claire, that's not your fault, it's mine.
No, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm just confused.
I know.
About why my agenda says one thing and somebody else's agenda says something else. Okay.
COVID is continuing to wreak havoc on us. Brian, please.
Yes, thank you all. So your board saw this back in February. We had a site visit with story polls. The comments are there. I can do just a very brief.
Hold it. Let's just, I'm sorry, let me be brief. David, can you go back? I apologize. To the minutes. Okay, nice architecture fits well with the site, reduce grading quantities and work to balance cut and fill, restudy exterior lighting, reduce number of fixtures, both on the structure and in the landscaped areas. Okay, now Brian, please.
Yes, sir. So comment number 1, nice architecture. We chose the best path with that, which was to not change anything. So what you'll see today and that Patty will present is what you had saw on previously. Regarding grading, that's actually what's taken us the most amount of time. There was one comment that you had, John, that didn't make it to the minutes, but it was related to, trying to more naturalize as well. So we took the opportunity to work on the grading and that comment about, naturalizing and contouring. And what we ended up with our previous project was about 900 cubic yards of export. We've got that down to now be balanced. So we took the opportunity to do a bit of contouring and naturalizing. The biggest, and some berming, the biggest change you'll see, and we'll get to it when we present on landscape, is we had what we called a labyrinth down at the southern portion of the property, and we essentially just removed that. Lighting, Rebecca will take you through. One thing apropos of your opening comments, John, about La Nina, I'm a bit of a weather geek myself. One of the other things we've been working on with our planning staff and Alex was ways to reduce our landscape water usage. And so we've done that, and the plan that you'll see today results in a 39% reduction in the water use over existing. So I think we're planning ahead. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Patty, and she can take you quickly through architecture.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having us back for preliminary. I'm from Patty from Backen and Backen. I'm going to take you quickly through all the architectural sheets. Nothing's changed here. We're still 101% for the MBAR. Next sheet, we've got a couple of the survey sheets. This is just showing the existing property. The next sheet shows the southern portion of the existing property. Sheet number 4. This is a rendering of looking from the south, looking back at the architecture and the landscape. As we get to the end of the presentation, we're going to talk further about the materials palette, which is a kind of refined, elegant coastal palette, as you can see, blending with the hills of wood siding, reclaimed slate roof, steel doors and windows, steel trellis structure that runs across the south side. We have a slip form wall system, which is part of the landscape walls, but also a few of the architectural elements such as chimneys, limestone paving. And that's kind of just an introduction to our materials palette. The next sheet. This is our demo plan, just showing the areas that will be changed, modified. Next sheet. This is just an overall property plan, just so you can get an idea of where the development's happening on the property. Next sheet.
I think I need to go to the next set here.
Oh yeah, sorry. Moving on to the second
Sorry,
set.
there are 3 sets. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
we have a lot of sets. Apologies. And I know the files are a little large. This is just our architectural site plan, a little more zoomed in on the areas of development. You can see the main house and the accessory structures all grouped on the west side, and a small detached garage. Next sheet. This is our generator information. So the generator is, you can see it in the circle where it says north proposed generator, about 46 feet from the property line. And you can see the calculations where it's 65 decibels. Next sheet.
And Patty, you may want to note, I think there was a question about that in our earlier review. That is where the existing generator kind of utility area is. So we're just keeping it in the same spot.
Exactly. Yeah, we're kind of making that kind of the little area that it is currently. Okay, and then this is the planner requested this. We are an interior lot, so just showing kind of the difference between the two. I don't think this is too important. Next sheet. This is our basement plan. We're just getting into the floor plans. We have 2 small basements, one on the east side and the other one on the north side of the property. Next sheet. Just the overall main level floor plan with the south side housing the family room, dining room, living, office. The east side mainly has bedrooms, and then a nice gallery that connects all of these to the gardens and light beyond. The kitchen and back of house areas kind of back up to the garage on the north side. Next sheet. This is the second floor plan, all condensed on the east side of the property. This is the master bedroom. Next sheet. Roof plan, just showing the areas of pitched roof with the reclaimed slate. And then there's kind of a connecting spine of lower flat roofs. Next sheet. These are the accessory building plans. So we have a guest house up in the upper right-hand corner, yoga pavilion. Those are on the west side of the main house, but back from the facade. And then you can see in the lower right-hand side, the gym, spa, and the pool cabana. Separate area. Next sheet. These are our elevations. The number 3 is the one that you saw in the rendering. The other elevations are just kind of working your way around the house from the north, east, and west. The main house. Next sheet has all the accessory buildings, as we discussed, the guest houses, yoga pavilion, and then the gym, spa cabanas at the lower side. Sections through the main house, building section A and building section B and building section C. So you can kind of see how the different volumes are connected. Next sheet. Couple more sections of the main house, cutting north-south, and then through the smaller areas of the home, and then a couple of accessory buildings sections so you can see how it connects to the site. And then I think we are now in the third section, and I'm going to hand it off to Kareth from Miranda Brooks' office. And then we'll be back with materials at the end that we'll present together. Kareth, you on?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we got you now. We got you now.
You can hear me now? Okay, great. I'm on phone audio, so there might be a little bit of a disconnect, but I'm glad you can hear me. And thanks for having us back. This is Kareth with Miranda Brooks Landscape Design. And what you're looking at now is the civil engineer's grading plan. As Brian mentioned, one of the main comments from our conceptual design review was a request to balance cut and fill. So we've worked with the engineer to reduce export and get that balance. A couple of the ways that we've done this. So this meadow here, we've added fill there and created some more natural contours, some undulations, some more gently sloped areas that relate to the program on either side and the oaks on either side of the site. Another place where we've addressed the grading is down here. So before we had this kind of very structured sunken labyrinth, and then we've removed that, and instead we pulled out the contours, and we have a gentle mound here. It's a clearing with in the midst of a grove of trees. And then the third aspect of the landscape where we've addressed grading is by adding a few berms along the maintenance road. And those can be found kind of in this area. And that'll help screen the maintenance road and the maintenance area as well. Okay, if you can move to the next sheet. These are the grading site sections, so you can see the variation in the meadow through the long site section here. In this area. And then the cross sections below. Can you move to the next sheet? Okay, and this is the landscape key plan. It's also where we have the water usage calculations. It's the table on the upper right. And we have Kate Dole with us today too. She's our local registered landscape architect. And if you have any specific questions about water usage or in detail plant selection questions, she's here to answer those. But what you're seeing hatched in light orange here is the extent of the meadow. And one of the ways that we've significantly reduced the water usage, Brian mentioned that it's a 39% reduction over existing. Currently, pretty much this whole area is irrigated sod lawn. So a lot of that, most of that, we've changed to a meadow that utilizes buffalo grass and other drought-tolerant species to help reduce the water usage. We've only left very limited areas of lawn along this southern end of the property. You can turn to the next sheet. Okay, so this is the north landscape plan. And I'll quickly take you through the design. Most of this you've seen before, but if you have any questions about specific areas, please ask. At the north end of the property, the north gate, that's where you enter. And you come in along a chip seal drive. It's lined with a shrub mix, which includes things like Pacific wax myrtle, cherry laurel, coffeeberry, wild lilac. Entering the drive court under a canopy of evergreen oaks, we have this retaining wall to the north, which there is an existing retaining wall now, and it kind of jogs and steps, and we really simplified that. And in front of that is a hedge to soften and green that wall. And as you go in towards the front entry, I want you to zoom in a little bit, but I can also circle this. let me?
Gareth, there's a bit of a lag
Yeah,
with
there we
this,
go.
with the annotation, so I'm happy to do that and let you present. I can highlight the areas you're discussing.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you so much. Going towards the front entry, you walk along a stone pathway. On either side of that, on either side of that is a gravel garden. And that gravel garden is punctuated by oaks and bay laurels, as well as Indian hawthorn and perennials like Apache plume and sage. And as you move in through the front door, you enter the gallery of the residence, and then you can continue on towards the first in a series of courtyards. Exactly. And on to the main terrace along the southern edge of the residence. This terrace is paved with stone, and as Patty mentioned, has a trellis across it. It overlooks the rest of the property and then steps down to the swimming pool terrace, a combination of stone paving and grass, which is surrounded by a cloud hedge of Pacific wax myrtle. The view from the main terrace looks over the swimming pool terrace, and if you can move to the next sheet and continue down the site. Thank you. So this is just below where we were looking before. And you can see the meadow at the top of this page. So from that main terrace, you're looking over the swimming pool terrace, down the naturalized meadow to the oak savanna at the southern end of the property and the ocean beyond. And the southern portion of the site is really intended to be more natural, with a mown clearing at the northern edge of the oak savanna, and then clusters of oaks, some of which are existing and some we are adding. And then you have the maintenance area tucked away in the southeastern end of the site, and that mounded clearing I spoke of earlier, surrounded by a grove of flowering trees. That's to the southwest. This is and these are the site sections, where you can see, if you zoom in, you can see the variation in the meadow. And you can see that change from the main terrace down to the pool terrace. So thank you. And if you don't have any questions about the landscape, I can turn it over to Rebecca for the lighting.
We'll do all of our questions at once. So let's do the lighting, please.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm Rebecca Fox. I'm with Ann Kale Associates. And I'm actually going to have you go to the next page to start. Okay, so, since you've last reviewed these plans, we've really worked to minimize the building mounted lighting that we had showed previously. We've removed the majority of the under eave lights we had around the perimeter of the building previously. Instead, we're really focusing the lighting at points of entry around the structure. We've also worked on developing the landscape lighting, again, focusing on what we really deemed necessary, which is really paths of travel around the site, as well as highlighting some of the architectural and landscape features throughout. Most of the lighting is concentrated at the north end of the property. And if you go to the second page, or page 26, you can see that we've really left the south end of the property pretty bare to just allow it to fall into darkness. And then I'm going to have you go to page 24, which has our fixture schedule. Thank you. Here, we really just wanted to illustrate that all the fixtures that we're using throughout the site that we're proposing are dark sky compliant. The LED light sources are completely shielded, and all the light is aimed downward. And with that, I will turn it back to Kareth with landscape.
Dave, if you could,
I think we
there
have
should
the
be one other
material.
document in there. Sorry, Kareth, did you want me to go to materials or are you going to go back to landscape?
Oh, we have the
Yes,
fourth
Perfect.
material.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Okay, I'm gonna actually jump in, Patty again. We're gonna talk about the architectural materials and the landscape materials kind of together because this home is very connected in that way. As we discussed earlier, we have kind of a weathered siding and a antique slate tile roof. The doors and windows are a blackened steel window and door system, and then the trellis matches the door and window system with the blackened metal with planting. The site walls and the architecture both have some of the slip form site walls. That's very reminiscent of like a European installation of stone. And then the terra stone is a very tumbled, and Kareth can talk about it more, kind of limestone pattern. So next page. A couple bigger inspirational images of the siding, a color and look that we're trying to achieve. Next page. Antique slate roof. The largest image is what we'd really like to be able to achieve on this project. Next one, some imagery from some of our projects. These are doors and windows, steel doors and window system that we'll be using. And then the slip form stone walls are obviously, these images are a little bit different type of architecture, but just gives you an idea of the look. Next page. The blackened trellis. Again, a couple inspiration images from our portfolio that show the look and feel of the trellis that will be on the south side of the building. Next page. And then back to the rendering. We feel this, whole collection of materials are going to be really elegant and beautiful in a coastal palette, and kind of blend well into the neighborhood. Next page, I'm going to hand it over to Kareth.
Okay, so these are a few inspiration images of what we're hoping the materials look like. You can go to the next sheet. And here you have the slip form stone walls on the left, which will be the retaining walls and garden walls, and they're speaking back to the base of the house. The middle image is the reclaimed French limestone paving. We're probably going to want to see that in kind of a random ashlar pattern, and then also incorporating some decorative gravel paving to help with permeability. And if you can go back to the rendering. Great. You can see here how those are represented with the wall between the main terrace and the swimming pool terrace made of that slip form stone, and then you can see a bit of the paving at the swimming pool terrace. I believe that concludes our presentation.
That does. That wraps it up, and we're here for any questions.
Okay, members of the board, we are on for preliminary, not final. Questions, Don? Don Sharp. Don, you're on mute if you're trying to talk. Okay, let's move on to Tip.
No questions. Thank you.
Claire.
No questions.
Bill.
So a couple things, just to clarify, the reason you have such a large cut number is because of the basement, is that correct? And you're then spreading it out onto the yard so you don't have any export?
The basement, we also have a crawl space for ease of construction and getting systems around underneath the house. So
that's where the majority of the cut's coming from, I assume. Looks like, anyway.
Yeah.
So the fill dirt down at the base of the hill there, are you impacting any of the existing oaks, or you're trying to stay out of those drip lines and impact zones for those oaks? Is that correct? I mean,
yes, we're staying out of all of the drip lines, I believe. Yeah.
And you're adding new trees.
All the oaks.
Those are new trees that are
and
adding.
adding. Yep, adding additional oaks. If you zoom in, you can see the species, but a lot of those larger trees along the sides of the meadow are additional oaks.
Got it.
And Bill, we do have the arborists engaged on this project, so reviewed everything to make sure that we were towing the line there.
Perfect. Pool equipment, I know it says under separate permit, but you were looking at the pool. So where is your pool equipment? Do you have it in a room somewhere, or where is that going?
If you go to the sheet before this, you can see there's an area allotted for it behind the gym and spa. And in the bottom left corner.
West side of the gym.
Oh, okay, so it's in a structure then, enclosure.
An enclosed, yeah.
And the generator area there, that's already got some screening, it looks like. If you go up the corner there, upper right corner, Dave.
It's kind of enclosed in a little walled area as
Sidewalk.
it is currently, yeah.
That's hedging around.
And
it.
there is screening, there is planting material all around the entire border of the property.
Got it, okay. All right, that was all I had, thank you.
Elida.
Can we go back to that southern rendering again, Dave? So with your bringing in a new, I'm assuming this is an ocean view, right?
Yes, definitely an ocean view.
And you're bringing some more oaks down towards the bottom. So are you essentially creating a view corridor down to the ocean with plantings and trees and specimens on either side?
To a certain degree, we aren't adding a huge number of oaks on the sides of the property, but there are a few that do kind of help to contain this meadow and lead your eye down towards the water.
Okay, the opening shot showed incredible mountain views. I'm not that familiar with this project. So on the north side of the house, there's vegetation along the property line. It looked, are you taking advantage of these remarkable mountain views, either from inside of the house or the front garden?
Yes, definitely. As you kind of step away, the north property line has like a forest of existing oaks, right, Kareth? And so you really need to kind of be in the courtyards looking back to see the mountains. But it's really quite spectacular from the house, yes.
You can see them from the east corner of the main terrace as well, and the ladies' garden.
Oh,
we didn't really go into detail there, but see them from there as well.
Okay, wow, quite something. Thank you.
David.
Yeah, I wanted to understand your lighting plan better and which fixtures you were indicating.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
So if you want to go.
These fixtures here.
So those are our tree mounted moonlights.
So that would be, which
so that's on the lower left corner there. Yeah. So we mount them, you know, as high as possible as we can in the tree. And we have the fixture, you know, fully shielded and aimed downward. And it's a very subtle lighting effect.
And do you know how many of those you have or where they're located?
We have them located in some of the trees down there on the south part of the house. Yep. And then also, if you go into the north sort of drive court, and the oak trees up there as well.
So within this court. And it looks like.
To the orchard to the right as well.
And over here. Okay.
Correct.
They're kind of helping you find your way around, right?
Yeah.
And are there, so there's no real path, well, there's some path lights, but the majority of the lights are these.
We use a mix of sort of path lights, moon lights, and we developed a custom decorative lantern that's dark sky compliant. Where we have stairs, we're using a small stair light or step light.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I cannot remember if the tennis court is existing or not. Could you please?
Existing. We're just I think we're just going to resurface it, but that's staying.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebecca,
Yes.
you are not going to get final approval today for the simple reason that you are not agendized for it, and it is illegal for us to do that.
All right.
When you come back, would you be able to do this plan, highlighting each of the different lighting types in a different color? For instance, red, blue, green, orange,
Right.
so that they pop off the page and it would be more easy for us to review it. The question
Sure,
is,
absolutely.
would you be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, very good. So public comment, please. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board on item number 690 Picacho Lane, please?
John, I didn't receive any letters and nobody's hand is up.
Okay, so questions? Don, did you have questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so now we're going to go and make comments. Don, you were actually first. For some reason, you didn't. So your turn. Comments, please.
Well, I'm here now. I
Excellent.
really have no comments. I think certainly the design is well worked out and takes advantage of few sites, not in the view corridor of neighbors and so forth. So I'm only concerned about the lighting, and I think you've documented our concerns about that and the solution. So I have no further comments except it's a good project.
So again, for brevity, is there anybody that wants to make any comment other than that, please?
Well, I'm definitely concerned about the amount of downlighting in the trees, especially if they're going to be mounted up high. And I would have a hard time approving that. The rest of the project, I think is very nice.
So do I understand that as a motion, David, to grant preliminary approval with the applicant to restudy the lighting and possibly reduce the number of fixtures significantly?
The amount of tree mounted fixtures, yes.
And that's your motion for preliminary approval?
Sure.
You
I'll
stated
second that.
you stated it very well, David.
Thank you. I've got a knack for this.
Yeah, you're really, along with the drawings, you're really good at motion making. Okay, so is there any further discussion, please?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Rebecca, in color, easily seen, please reduce them in big time, okay?
Will do.
Brian, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
got it covered. Thank you guys. Viva Fiesta.
Viva. So is there a motion for adjournment, please?
So move.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Adios.
Meeting
Thank you,
adjourned.
everyone.
Stay safe. Stay
Good night.
safe.
Thank you,
See you
John.
guys. Okay,
Thank you,
bye.
Dave.